The world was destroyed the moment a gate opened, and no, it was not a doorway to some fantasy paradise. It was a full monster invasion with zero mercy and even less patience. These things did not just attack Earth, they tore it apart, then stayed and started running the place, pulling off a takeover that even Darkseid or Thanos could only dream about. That still felt insufficient. So the world decided to create Chimera Hunters, hoping for something extraordinary like Captain America or 11 from Stranger Things, because lab experiments have such a great success rate. Some labs were legal, while others were illegal and clearly not okay. The goal stayed simple though, just create the strongest Chimera Hunters possible and hope nothing goes wrong. Inside the demon realm, a fight has broken out between a strange snake-like creature who looks like it wants to eat some of the plants around it. However, these plants are moving. Physical beings and are called mandragoras. The mandragoras prepare themselves, ready to fight. Just then it is revealed that it was all just a playful mock fight and that Sasa and these creatures weren't actually fighting for real. Moreover, they have been fighting for quite some time now and Sasa has lost every single time, 99 times in a row to be exact. As for the mandragoras, they managed to get the upper hand yet again. Watching this playful fight are two figures, a male with the head of a hawk and one female. Nearby, a guy, our MC, gently applies moisturizer to one of the mandragora, and it clearly seemed to be enjoying the pampering. At the same time, a little girl runs excitedly toward a cook named Guy Seok and tells him that she is hungry. Meanwhile, Guy Seok is busy preparing delicious pho hode using his special sauce, making omelets, fried rice and other tasty dishes that might make one's mouth watery from all that aroma. Not long after, the food turns out to be so delicious that all the mandragoras have already fallen asleep. Simultaneously, our MC quietly watches all of this, realizing that life in the demon realm despite its dangers can be surprisingly peaceful. Flashback to the human world. One day, a gate opens to the demon realm and chaos begins. Monsters pour out and some people awaken as hunters to protect everyone. Over time, awakenings become rare and human defense starts to fail. With no other choice, humanity turns to science and creates artificial beings called Chimera Hunters. These beings are made by mixing human and animal DNA with monster cells and gate minerals, and prisoners are used as test subjects. The result is a success. Chimeras become the strongest weapon for humanity, reduce deaths and help to stabilize the world. Many years later, illegal labs start to create chimeras for the black market. In one such lab, scientists examine a broken test subject, Chimera number 17. His arm rots and his brain is damaged, so he cannot respond without direct orders. The researchers judge him a failure and say he should be disposed of. The director chooses to send number 17 on a gate-sealing mission, expects him to die there without a return order. Soon after, inside the demon realm, number 17 fights beside a group of adventurers, but he does not need their help. He destroys monster after monster alone, uses power like a spirit bomb to wipe out enemies. The adventurers are shocked and can only follow behind him to collect loot. Even with his damaged mind, number 17 shows great strength and stamina. Days pass, the attacks never stop, and the gate still does not close. The gate begins to collapse and the adventurers prepare to escape. One female hunter wonders if they should bring number 17 back because he saves them all, but their orders are firm. He is to be left behind. Her companion says that chimeras are only tools without feelings, but number 17 starts to understand. While he keeps fighting, he realizes no return order will come. As monsters surround him and tear at his body, he continues to protect the retreat path, completes his mission. Abandoned and alone, he is destroyed. Later, the mission report shows a result. Not a single hunter dies, and Chimera number 17 defeats 1,823 monsters. In his final moment, number 17 begins to remember a lost past that appears in his mind. He realizes he once is a human child, taken away at the age of 9. Images flood his thoughts, and though his brain does not fully understand, he watches them in silence. He sees himself being born 80 years ago, then 70 years ago living in an orphanage, where he defends himself against bullies, and is punished even when he is not at fault. It is then that he leaves the orphanage and tries to live on his own. But life is too hard for a child. Soon some people kidnap the little boy, tie him in chains and use him for many cruel experiments. In the illegal lab, he is locked down and given the name number 17. Scientists inject him with S-class silk cocoon larva cells and wait to see what will happen. But even after many days, there are no harmful reactions. Instead, number 17 gains special powers. Because of his rare body, he still looks human and keeps his consciousness. The scientists are pleased and decide not to stop. They tell the others to keep adding more cells until they see how much his body can endure. 64 years ago, after receiving many monster fluids, number 17 still shows no side effects and keeps gaining more abilities. He is even made to clean the lab floors with monsters, uses his growing physical and mental powers, along with skills that are once only found in monsters. One day, while fighting a monster, number 17 saves a woman and her daughter, who thank him with tears. But as he turns away, he begins to forget the orders given to him. 59 years ago, his condition grows worse, and number 17 starts to question what he does. A scientist notices his memory fails, but the unstable scientist feels happy because side effects finally appear. 54 years ago, the scientist records that after more than 500 monster cell transplants over 50 years, number 17 becomes an S-class chimera. His potential can no longer be measured, and he is now the greatest success of the research lab. The most recent major change happens 20 years ago, when number 17 fully transforms and is no longer human. He cannot understand anything anymore and can only follow orders. 3 days ago, he is defeated by the monsters that flood the gate, finishes his mission but cannot escape. However, from the fluid released from number 17's body, something strange occurs. A mysterious light shines on a bone that belongs to him, and the bone begins to gain strange power. It slowly starts to rebuild itself, forms a complete body again. After a total of 527 monster cell transplants, number 17 is mysteriously revived. His body returns piece by piece, rebuilds itself with time. Even more strangely, he turns back into a human. Number 17 is confused and shocked, wonders if he truly becomes human once again. As he begins using his monster powers, he sees they are still there and understands he is not fully human, only human in appearance. His mind is no longer broken, and he realizes a long time passes with no one from the lab coming to take him back. So he accepts he is abandoned. The number that once marks his wrist disappears, and he knows he has no ties to the lab anymore. He then remembers being injected with an immortal type power whose core allows revival up to 3 times if it is not destroyed. However, he believes humans cannot join with immortal cells, but he is wrong, and he feels sure his body returns to its best state. For a long time his mind feels foggy, but the spells stopping escape or resistance are gone. It feels like his life as number 17 ends and he can live as a human. He begins to remember his true name, since number 17 is only a label given by the lab. Dawoon smiles, thinks about helping people and wonders how an orphan can help. It seems possible at last. He thinks of revenge, but it only makes sense if the targets are before him, and they are not. With no way to reach the human world, he believes he might meet them again if he lives long enough, so he chooses to wait. Coming to his senses, Dawoon notices he is naked, but he does not care in the demon realm and decides to live like a person, so he goes looking for clothes and walks to a river. He finds a giant bird monster lying dead, likely killed in a territory fight, and because there are few wounds, he judges it dies from poison. He changes his hands into blades, and uses lab skills to cut body, slices stomach and limbs to remove hide. When he stabs it, poison sprays out and he breathes it in, but nothing happens except a bad smell and a notice that no damage is done. He washes off, pleased with result. There is clear censorship while the bird lies. The hide looks soft, feels heavy and stiff. He guesses leather is iron. He returns his hands to normal, and pounds the leather with hard punches to soften it. The work he does is called tanning, which removes hair, fat, and stiffness from leather to make it soft. After many punches the leather finally becomes soft and fluffy, and Dawoon realizes he makes strong, high-quality leather. The bird monster is still censored. He wonders if the amount of leather is enough because he is quite tall. While he thinks, the bird suddenly comes back to life, with a small flame glowing near its tail. The bird is confused and shocked, wonders where its skin goes. At the same time, Dawoon shapes the leather, tears it to fit his body, and makes 2 holes for his arms. He ties it with a rope made from leaves and feels satisfied when the leather covers his body well. He then notices that some poison smell still remains, but since he does not want to wash it again, he chooses to wear it anyway. Turning around, he sees the bird awake and is surprised it is still alive. He remembers that there was definitely rigor mortis, and according to his knowledge it should be dead because he strikes its vital points. When the bird moves its head, Dawoon wonders if it truly understands him. He thinks that maybe the bird is also an immortal type and can revive. In the past he kills it as a hunter, but now it is weak and no longer a threat, so there is no reason to attack. Dawoon laughs and tells the bird that if it can understand, then both of them are lucky to have a second life, and maybe their paths cross again. He then walks away and enters a cave, thinks he now needs a place to stay. Inside, many monsters appear, and a giant centipede attacks him, but with one simple flick of his hand its head is cut off. He decides the cave is too dark to live in. He moves on to a snowy area, but monsters there keep attacking and it feels unsafe. He tries forests with strange smells, swamps that are too wet, and lava mountains that are too hot. None of these places feel right. Finally he reaches a valley with a waterfall, clean water, edible monsters, flowers, and fresh air. He is amazed by how beautiful the demon realm can be. He jumps down from a cliff, sees clear water full of fish, and knows he can survive here. It feels like camping, and he thinks building a house nearby is a good idea. Feeling peaceful, he chooses this place to live. As he smiles, the scene shifts nearby, where a strange portal opens violently. A small creature with robotic hands and red eyes crashes down, surrounded by a dark aura, and wonders if this is the demon realm. DONGHUA looks at the spot where he wants to build his house. He likes it because he can hear a waterfall about 10 minutes away. He decides to build there and first needs a flat area. Using his chimera powers, he cuts down trees and clears the land, separates good wood from bad. Walking around, he sees the ground is bumpy, so he slams it with his monstrous whips, pulls out tree roots and makes it smooth. Sunlight comes into the house perfectly, and the area stays clean. He lifts heavy logs, picks the strongest for corner pillars, and has fun building. Weaker wood becomes floor planks, and for the walls, he uses mucus from snail monsters because it hardens like stone and can stick the logs together while keeping water out. For safety, DONGHUA uses his silk technique to make a net around the house that alerts him if anyone comes near. From far away, the house looks suspicious with a red aura. With just logs, snail mucus, and silkworm thread, his house is complete, though DONGHUA feels something is missing. He remembers how human houses have yards with plants, flowers, or pets, but pets don't exist in the demon realm, so he chooses to make a vegetable garden. He wonders what can grow there, and remembers a snowy mountain nearby. He decides to plant mandragoras from the mountain for radishes. DONGHUA goes to the snowy summit, where demonic energy is strongest, and the mandragoras feel comfortable. It snows heavily, reminds him of the day he is taken to the lab, when the cold seems endless. But now, as a chimera, he realizes he doesn't need to worry about hunger or cold anymore. DONGHUA feels the demonic energy at its strongest, and knows he reaches the right place. As he looks around, he sees some leaves poking out of the ground and is happy as they are mandragora leaves. Mandragoras are delicate and can die from small changes, so moving them is tricky. He decides to take 3 roots, realizes young ones are easier to handle. When he pulls the first one out, he notices it is sleeping cutely and worries something is wrong. But all 3 are just sleeping peacefully and don't wake up when removed. DONGHUA knows about the mandragora scream from humans growing them artificially, which happens when mandragoras are stressed and can even kill the listener. Since there is no scream, he guesses it is because of the demon realm. The mandragoras don't resist, and as they slowly wake up, they smile at DONGHUA. He realizes they might recognize him as part demon, since his body has mandragora cells. Less stress means they grow better. He thinks about maybe planting more to get fruits later, but knows forcibly taking the fruit is deadly. As he heads back, he suddenly hears screams from the opposite side as hunters are nearby. DONGHUA decides to go after them and get the gate stones. Meanwhile, 2 adventurers are badly hurt by monsters. One curses his team for using them as bait, while the other urges him to stay focused as more monsters approach. The monsters are weird rabbits with octopus-like jaws. One adventurer tries protecting them with a blue force field, but it breaks under the rabbit's attacks. He nearly cries, wishes he stays safe instead of hunting a chimera. Just as the wall breaks, he yells for help, and something falls from the sky, scatters snow and shocks even the rabbits. The adventurers see a figure emerging from the smoke and are stunned. It is DONGHUA himself, and he sees that the monsters are snow rabbits, low-level creatures. When they try to attack him, they sense something evil and dangerous in him, so they run away before he even reaches them. The adventurers are shocked that B-class monsters flee from a single person. They thank him and introduce themselves as Sungju and Kim. When asked his name, DONGHUA says it, and Kim finds him mysterious, especially with his strange outfit. DONGHUA asks why they are at the snowy mountain, since they look like D-class hunters. They explain they need money, and receive a request to capture a chimera. Think the reward is good. DONGHUA realizes they are not looking for him, because the escape test subject is a mechanical creature. He feels relieved. Then he asks about their belongings, and Kim says their team members steal everything, likely including the gate stones. DONGHUA understands the gate stone is with those traitors. Sungju asks DONGHUA if he plans to return to the human world, warns that staying too long in the demon realm can be deadly for ordinary hunters, though not for DONGHUA as a chimera. The adventurers beg him to take them back because one has a pregnant wife due soon. But DONGHUA suddenly senses danger and leaves without answering. Sungju and Kim are left worried, unable to follow. Meanwhile, the mechanical creature stands near a cliff, trapped. The 3 adventurers try to attack him together, but something inside the robot awakens. It prepares to fight with a dark, dangerous energy, dematerializes part of itself to strike back at the attackers. DONGHUA reaches the cliff and sees blood everywhere. He wonders if he is too late, since the hunters are either gone or already killed, and their bags lie on the ground. From the situation, it looks like they dropped their gear so they can escape faster. DONGHUA notices many animal footprints mixed with a child's footprints, showing that whatever chases them can change its form. He remembers Kim explaining earlier that the escaped mechanical creature is made of liquid metal and can freely change shape. Because the material is rare, the scientists make it small, about the size of a child or a big dog. This matches what DONGHUA sees, and he smiles, impressed that such a creature can defeat 5 B-rank hunters alone. The scene then returns to Sungju and Kim lying injured. Songju believes he will die because demonic energy spreads through his body, but Kim scolds him, reminds him about his unborn child. Unable to walk, Songju asks Kim to tell his wife he is sorry. Kim cries, begs him to hold on, hopes for a miracle. Suddenly, Kim hears footsteps and sees Do-woon return carrying their gear bag. Kim falls to the ground, begs for help. He explains they have no gate stone and offers 2 large checks to buy one. Do-woon accepts, gives them a gate stone, and opens a portal. Kim bows deeply in gratitude. Do-woon later learns gate stones are now far more expensive than before, so he treats the extra money as payment for saving their lives. The boy touches Kim's shoulder, and blue energy spreads through him, and the same thing happens to Songju. They realize Do-woon sends mana into their bodies. This is very dangerous, because even low-rank hunters avoid mana infusion. If the mana clashes, their mana cores can break and everyone can die. Kim fears they will all die, but suddenly Songju is fine and looks completely healthy. The demonic energy inside him is fully purified. Songju hugs Kim in relief, happy to be alive, and the 2 adventurers decide to leave through the gate immediately. Kim bows deeply to Do-woon again, promises he will never forget this kindness. They are shocked that Do-woon can cleanse demonic energy using mana, something only possible with an enormous amount of it, and they cannot understand who he really is. After they leave, the scene shifts back to Do-woon, who looks at his house and feels slightly disappointed because it looks scary, like something from a horror movie. Still, he is glad no one enters his small precious home. He wants to check all the items he gains, pleased with the unexpected profit. Just then, he notices the mandragoras make soft cries. Their leaves droop, likely from the long journey. Do-woon plants them in front of his house, but they still seem unhappy. He thinks they might dislike being moved or are hungry without soil, so he gives them some mana. Soon the mandragoras smile again, making Do-woon happy. However, he senses an aura behind him and realizes the mechanical creature watches from the bushes. Do-woon ignores it, stores the money checks and unpacks his loot, which includes cooking gear, spare clothes, 8 gate stones and sleeping bags, meaning he no longer needs a bed. Suddenly Do-woon notices a bowl of ramen inside the bag, and remembers that the last time he ate it is in the orphanage. Feeling hungry, he decides it is the perfect time to cook it. He reads the instructions and goes to get some water, but on the way several monster fish attack him. Staying calm, he lightly flicks them away so they are not destroyed, thinks they might taste good in the ramen. Instead of normal eggs, he collects monster eggs, and for toppings he picks something crunchy to replace green onions and other extras. Once everything is ready, he goes back inside. At the same time, the mechanical creature follows him. Its stomach growls as it realizes he cooks. Do-woon turns on the portable stove and boils everything together, even adds the fish without caring about the instructions. Soon, a terrible smell fills the house, makes it hard for the mandragoras to breathe. Even Do-woon wonders if ramen is supposed to smell like this, but he cannot remember clearly. The mechanical creature, drawn by the smell, turns itself into a cute dog, pretends to be injured and whines to get food. Do-woon quickly realizes it is the same creature following him, and sees through the act, understands it is just an innocent and clueless being. He tells it the food is ready and shares the ramen. Though it looks tasty to them, it actually tastes awful. Still, Do-woon eats everything, lost in memories of how good ramen once was. After eating, as the dog tries to leave, Do-woon points out its fake limp, makes the dog mess up and reveal itself. Do-woon heads near the waterfall and finishes washing the dishes, then decides to wash his clothes. He does not like flower pollen because of bad memories, but he also does not want to wear leather clothes forever, since the weather can become hot and dry. He wants to dress like a normal person, not a caveman. Using a stick, he tries to gently clean the pollen from the clothes, knowing they can tear if he is too rough. However, with just one light hit, the rocks fly into the air, the ground cracks and the clothes are torn apart. Do-woon looks blank for a moment and thinks it is fine since he still has another set. While looking around, he notices the mechanical creature has turned into a rock. He wonders why it keeps following him, changing forms like a fish, a log, or a rock. When it sees bugs, it suddenly runs away, showing it hates them. From this, Do-woon realizes the creature's mental age is likely under 5, with strange behavior caused by forced knowledge injection. Pretending not to notice it, he continues washing and finally manages to clean one t-shirt. Though it is too small to wear, he leaves it to dry and goes to check the mandragoras. After he leaves, the rock reveals itself as the robot, happily takes the shirt and turns into a human girl who fits it perfectly. Meanwhile, Do-woon sees the mandragoras wilting again and discovers worm monsters underground drain their energy. Do-woon crushes the soil well to make it smooth so the same problem does not happen again. This helps for now, and the mandragoras look happy, but Do-woon knows he still needs to make a proper vegetable bed around them. He thinks about making it as big as his house. Just then, small footsteps come closer, and the robot appears as a cute girl and greets him. Do-woon immediately knows it is the robot, and thinks she takes a human form because she wants to talk. The girl acts surprised and asks if the log house belongs to him. Happy to talk, she asks if Do-woon lives there. Do-woon decides to tease her and asks which tribe she comes from. She panics and says she is from far beyond the waterfall, too far for him to know. Seeing the clear lie, Do-woon jokes and asks if she is from the coconut tribe. Not knowing any better, she quickly agrees. Do-woon then notices she is wearing the shirt he washes. She gets upset and says that in her tribe, anything you pick up belongs to you, so the shirt is hers. Do-woon lets her keep it but asks why someone from the coconut tribe is so far away. The girl says she is kicked out and begs to live with him. Do-woon is shocked but learns she just wants a safe place with no bugs. He agrees on one condition, as she has to help. When he asks her to help prepare the vegetable bed, she eagerly agrees and plows the entire field with unbelievable strength. Do-woon realizes she is trying her best to impress him. When he asks her name, she freezes, realizes she has none, and decides she needs to choose one. She says her name is Nari, and Do-woon jokes that it sounds like Forsythia. The girl shouts that her name is Nari, not what he says. Soon after, the work is finished, and the vegetable bed is ready. Do-woon even builds a stone fence so the soil does not fall away. The mandragoras are clearly happy in their new home, and Do-woon realizes he should have prepared the field earlier. Suddenly, Nari begins to cry, which confuses him. He learns that seeing the mandragoras play reminds her of her old friends. Before he can ask more, Nari freezes as dark mist spreads through the area, turns the place red and frightening. Nari collapses in fear, but Do-woon tells her it is just monsters hunt each other. Nari then explains that earlier she sees a small chick-like monster being attacked and bitten by poisonous creatures. Do-woon knows she tells the truth and says that in the demon realm, weak creatures are usually eaten. He then asks if she wants to save it. Because of lingering control commands, Nari says she cannot act even though she wants to. Realizing this, Do-woon gently asks if she wants to at least go check on the chick. That is enough, and Nari flies away. She soon finds ant-like monsters attack the small bird and fights them all off, determined to protect it. Remembering how she is bullied in the lab for being different, she refuses to let the same thing happen again. After defeating the monsters, she returns crying because the chick is still badly hurt. When Do-woon sees it, he suddenly feels he sees this kind of bird before. Reminds him of a giant bird he once kills. Nari cries because the small chick does not wake up, and she fears it is dying. Do-woon decides to check it himself and gently sends his mana into the chick. He realizes that it has no deadly injuries and is still alive. He understands that every monster's energy carries its own story. The giant bird he once kills now becomes small and pale, but it is still the same creature, much like the undead monster he sees before, which can change its form. Do-woon wonders why it shrinks so much and if it heals in a different way from other monsters. While he thinks, Nari anxiously asks if the chick is going to die. Do-woon calmly explains that it is only starving and likely becomes too small to hunt food on its own. He tells her that he gives it mana, so it slowly heals if left alone. Still, Nari does not want to abandon it, because she remembers being treated the same way in the past. To her, the chick looks weak and lifeless, and she believes it dies if no one cares for it. She begs Do-woon to let her raise it, promises to feed it, train it, and take full responsibility. Do-woon feels oddly happy, knowing the bird can grow very large one day. Nari quickly adds that she only feeds it a little, so it does not grow too big. Do-woon agrees and says it might even protect the yard someday. Soon, the chick begins to drool and slowly opens its eyes, confused about where it is. It sees Do-woon, the man who once skins it, but does not realize it is held by a small girl who suddenly throws it into the air in excitement. The bird squeaks loudly, shocked to see a child in the demon realm, while Nari is simply happy it is alive. Do-woon then realizes something important as he can clearly understand everything the bird says and feels. Later, Nari wraps bandages around the bird and proudly says the healing is finished, while the bird is annoyed that it cannot move. She tells Do-woon she names it Cool because of its sounds. Do-woon says the name is fine. The bird angrily tries to protest, says it already has a name, but before it explains, Nari pours water on it, thinking it is thirsty. Cool puffs up in shock. Do-woon realizes Nari cannot understand the bird, and tells her to stop giving it water, as it can be dangerous. Nari misunderstands and decides the bird must be hungry instead. Meanwhile, Do-woon starts building a storage shelf, but the wood splits easily. Cool explains that the log is soft wood, not hardwood, confirms that different woods have different strength. Do-woon asks which color of wood is the strongest, and the bird answers that it is clearly redwood. Right after saying that, the bird suddenly realizes Do-woon can understand him, which shocks him because humans cannot speak monster language. Do-woon does not react and calmly wonders where he can find red-colored wood. Cool, still having his abilities, tries to read Do-woon's mind to learn more. However, when he uses his power, he sees a huge monster presence inside Do-woon blocks all mind waves. Do-woon keeps talking normally and asks why he cannot find the redwood even after searching. The bird starts sweating, realizes Do-woon blocks the mind reading and can hear his thoughts clearly. Do-woon explains that he hears the bird's thoughts as human words, and strangely, the bird can also understand human speech. Ku hesitates, but Duwon guesses he is a rare intelligent monster. When Duwon asks if they meet before, Ku admits they do. He explains that Duwon once saves him, and from that day he promises to return the favor. Duwon realizes that when he removes the bird's skin earlier, the poison is removed while its core stays intact. Feeling glad, Duwon asks for help, and the bird agrees, leads him toward the red wood. The scene then shifts to fire spreading everywhere, as Neri runs in panic, screams and begs someone to stay away. She collapses, terrified, realizes a man from the lab chases her to capture her. Fire paralyzes her with fear. The man, wearing a futuristic jacket, checks his phone and confirms the mechanical creature can freely change shape. Even though it looks like a child, he prepares to attack, forms flaming claws. Just then, Duwon and the bird return. Duwon is annoyed because his peaceful time is disturbed. The bird gets angry too and decides to protect Neri. Duwon realizes Neri is terrified of fire and chooses to put it out first. The man sees Duwon and assumes he is another hunter, warns him to leave. Duwon snaps back, says the man talks too much. Annoyed, the man slams his hands down, releases massive flames. Duwon calmly causes a landslide by striking the cliff above, buries the man. Afterward, Duwon checks on Neri and tells her to defeat fear again and again. As he pulls the man out by his hair, Duwon is surprised when it comes off, reveals the man is bald. After Duwon looks at the bald man, he feels shocked and confused about how someone so young can be completely bald. Even the bird feels a little sorry for him. Neri, however, stares at the shiny head and suddenly laughs loudly, almost like she loses her mind because she finds it really funny. Since the man is already defeated for her sake, he no longer feels scary to her. Unique, on the other hand, feels uneasy because only minutes earlier, this same man is rough with Neri. That alone is not strange, but then the bird tells Duwon that once he sees something, everything makes more sense. The bird uses a skill called mental resonance, which allows memories to be seen and shared. Right away, Neri's memories appear. Jijong, old and unstable scientist, experiments with a strange metal liquid, which is Neri. As she slowly becomes aware of herself, she realizes she is in danger. The scientist keeps using fire on her during experiments, which explains why she is so afraid of flames. He claims it is durability testing, but she is burned again and again. The memory ends as Duwon gently taps Neri on the head and praises her for being brave. He knows her fear does not disappear quickly, but this is still progress. He then asks the bird what they should do with the bald man. Neri smiles and says she has an idea. The scene changes to the man hanging from a rope near a waterfall, with water constantly pouring over him. The water makes him sick while Neri laughs and says that if he stays wet, fire cannot hurt them anymore, and the uncle is not scary. The man bitterly thinks he does not come to the demon realm for this kind of treatment, but Neri feels he deserves it. Duwon tries to tell her not to judge people by looks, though he feels relieved inside. Neri seems to heal faster than expected. Duwon then goes to collect water to make ramen. Neri becomes excited because she loves his fish ramen and happily plays along with his coconut tribe joke. While Neri goes to catch fish, the man watches closely and realizes Duwon is likely a very strong hunter. Hanging someone while calmly cooking ramen feels extreme, even here. Neri returns with 3 fish, but Duwon chooses only one and releases the others. As he cooks, the man panics about the recipe. Finally, he begs to be freed and offers to cook. With his life depending on it, he carefully prepares the ramen, times it by counting his own heartbeat, more serious than he ever is. After counting 270 heartbeats, Gi-seo quickly takes the ramen out and lifts the noodles into the air, lets steam escape so they become soft and bouncy. He knows kimchi makes it perfect, but since they are in the demon realm, he uses what he has and feels satisfied with the result. That is when everyone learns the bald man's real name is Gi-seok, and his simple ramen even shows attributes: high taste, balanced nutrients, and no waste. After finishing, Gi-seok worries that Do-woon and the others do not even like it. But for Do-woon, Nari, and the bird, this ramen is nothing like anything Do-woon ever cooks. They start eating with doubt on their faces, but the moment they chew, all doubt disappears. It feels like they rise straight into heaven, with light bodies and peaceful minds. This is the flavor of pure simplicity. Nari stares in shock and asks if ramen always tastes this good. The bird wonders if humans eat food like this every day. Do-woon is also surprised but stays quiet and keeps eating. Soon the pot is empty. The bird's belly is round, and it keeps burping. Nervously, Gi-seok asks if they like it. Nari feels sad it is already gone. Do-woon then asks Gi-seok what he wants. When Gi-seok looks confused, Do-woon explains he does not want to take such good food for free, and grants him one request if possible. After hesitation, Gi-seok kneels down and asks Do-woon to train him. He says he is Hunter Gi-seok and wants to become as strong as Do-woon. Gi-seok believes Do-woon is the strongest hunter he ever sees, and assumes he stays in the demon realm long term. Desperate, Gi-seok even brags badly, though in truth he only knows cooking from helping at his father's chicken shop. He offers to bring supplies from the human world and even pays for lessons. Do-woon then asks why he attacks Neri. Giseok admits it is not for money, but to pass the hunter promotion exam. Dowoon tells him to stand and says they spar instead. Giseok is overjoyed, but Neri suddenly asks to fight him herself. She says she wants to face her fear of fire. When Dowoon asks Giseok if he can break an obsidianite stone harder than diamond, Giseok hesitates, as until Neri shatters it with one hit and confidently challenges him to fight. Giseok's stomach rumbles as the smell of the cooked ramen fills the air. The story flashes back to his past, showing him as a natural awakener who gains fire powers at 8, much earlier than most people. During his B-rank hunter test, he defeats every opponent easily and earns his rank before turning 20. His talent and fame grow fast, and he dreams of becoming the strongest hunter. But life hits him hard when his hair starts falling out. By his early 20s, the top of his head thins, and by mid-20s he has an M-shaped hairline. He tries every treatment and hair implant, but doctors say nothing works. His looks and talent fade, and his competition results drop. He becomes reckless, spends his days on the couch watching TV and eating fast food. One day he sees a TV interview with Dr. Han, who accidentally spills rare liquid metal on his bald head in the demon realm and regrows hair. But the doctor already uses the rest to make a machine creature and refuses to make a cure. Giseok's crushed but determined to find that machine in the demon realm and use the metal to restore his hair. Back in the present, Giseok lies on the ground, realizes the kid in front of him, Neri, is far too strong. Neri laughs at her victory, Ku's stunned, and Dowoon decides Giseok needs to improve before sparring again. Giseok's eyes burn with determination. Dowoon just finishes building a sturdy redwood shelf. Giseok, refreshed after removing his wig, conjures a fire spear and charges Neri. She shifts into liquid metal to dodge, then back into human form, kicks him far and splits a rock. Neri laughs proudly, no longer fears fire, thanks to Giseok. Lying there, Giseok wonders if this is the limit of his life as a B-rank hunter, but he refuses to give up. In the demon realm he still has a chance. He stands, looks at Neri, and calls out for one more round, ready to fight again. Suddenly, before the next round starts, Giseok starts bleeding from his nose. Dowoon asks him how long he stays in the demon realm, and Giseok says 9 days. Dowoon warns that with his current rank, staying longer kills him from mana corruption, and he needs to leave immediately. Giseok wants to stay but knows he has no choice. Dowoon encourages him, says he has potential to reach A rank if he trains hard. At first Giseok doesn't believe him, says he fails the A rank test 6 years in a row, but Dowoon explains that his mana doesn't fully mature yet, and he shouldn't give up. Giseok is almost in tears, thankful, and promises to give his all, while asking Dowoon and Neri to watch over him. Dowoon decides to help him train toward A rank. The group prepares to return to the real world. Giseok asks if they need anything besides ramen, but Dowoon says it is enough. As he steps through the portal, Neri tells him to take care, and he promises to train hard and beat her next time. Suddenly Giseok remembers his wig and asks Dowoon, who says he doesn't see it. Giseok decides to look for it later. Giseok looks serious, and Dowoon asks why. Giseok explains that if Giseok betrays them he can bring other hunters to capture Neri. Dowoon says he can read memories and confirms Giseok's sincerity, so he believes training him is worth it. Neri then asks if Dowoon really understands Ku. He explains that he can, and that he builds the storage shelf following Ku's advice, which makes it neat. Neri thinks the room is still dark, so Dowoon cuts a section of the wall for a window. Neri already makes her own window with Ku's help. With the room brighter, she likes it, and Dowoon compliments her. He explains they need light at night, use luminous glowstones hung from the ceiling. Ku is shocked and warns the volcanic region where the stones are found is dangerous, his own hometown. Neri notices Ku looks sad, and asks why, notices something bothers him. Dowoon explains the danger, and Neri insists she goes with him since she is no longer afraid of fire. Ku says he has things to do there, so he also goes. Dowoon nods, prepares his powers and special gear. Meanwhile, in the Mandragora fields, the wig is tossed playfully by the Mandragoras. The scene then shifts to the volcanic region, where eruptions shake the land, and a huge monster slowly rises from the lava, roars into the air. The volcanic region is one of the 3 most dangerous places in the demon world, and hunters usually avoid it. Ash fills the air, cuts at their skin, while toxic gases and strong demonic energy make breathing almost impossible. Almost nothing is known about it in the human world. Kuls explains this as they walk, but he is shocked when Neri steps into the lava, kicks it like water and laughs. Dowoon realizes she is literally playing with fire. Kul knows it makes sense because Neri is originally mechanical, but what surprises him more is that Dowoon survives the deadly environment without trouble. When Kul asks, Dowoon smiles and says he is a chimera hunter. Kul guesses, but chimera hunters usually do not look human. Dowoon explains that he once is different too, but after regenerating he becomes human in appearance again. Then he asks Ku if he really feels comfortable with them since he is a monster and hunters usually hate monsters. Neri almost burns her clothes but stops, acts normal. Ku says it is fine with them and even fun to talk to Dowoon and Neri, who do not seem bad. Do-won smiles, relieved. Neri climbs out of the lava, notices Do-won talking to Ku and asks if it is a secret chat. Do-won says Ku is just curious, and Neri smiles, says they are all from the demon world, though Ku knows he is the only true native. Walking on, Ku says luminous glowstones are near lava vents. Do-won spots some near a crater. Neri runs to a cliff overflowing lava, eager to explore. Do-won notices many stones but also sees fire toads fighting in the smoke. They are bright orange and rocky, but one seems to be crying. Neri sees another hidden in smoke. Ku explains the female toad dies carrying eggs, which only females can do, and now the surviving toad is upset. Neri gets emotional. Do-won tells her to wait and jumps toward the creatures. The toad gurgles angrily, and Ku warns it is sensitive. It lashes flames, but Do-won calmly taps its head with a finger, releases a safe paralysis toxin. Neri worries, but Do-won explains fire toads are immune. He carefully places the abandoned eggs on the toad's back. The toad recovers, looks at the dead female, leaps away, and seems to look back at them once more. Neri thinks it thanks them, while Do-won believes it only gazes at its mate. Do-won calls out to Neri, tells her to come down quickly, so they gather the luminous glowstones and head home without wasting time. Excited, Neri starts digging stones from the cracks, admires how pretty they are. Do-won reminds her to be careful because she can get hurt if a stone slips. Kor, on the other hand, struggles to pull even a single stone free because of their size. After finally managing one, he is exhausted and feels disappointed in himself. Do-won notices and asks if he is okay. Kor thinks that when he is bigger he can play with these stones easily, and if he does not shrink it is simpler. Do-won tells him he does not need to mine at all, and should focus on other tasks in the volcanic region. He also mentions that Kor brings gifts for his friends, which flusters Kor. He squawks, says he does not plan to meet any friends and that the gifts are only something to leave behind. Do-won notices Kor's shyness and suggests that maybe he misses his own kind. Kor quickly denies it, explains he only regrets leaving without saying goodbye. He thinks intelligence has good points but also many downsides. Feels lonelier after leaving the one-eyed monkey group. Even so, he grows frustrated trying to pull another stone. Neri cheers him on, and finally one stone comes loose, but it makes a sharp cracking sound. Neri turns and realizes it is not just rocks as it is a monster egg, with the top already broken. She guesses Kor's stone causes the crack. Do-won explains that normally the baby inside should break out itself to grow healthy. Neri suggests they take the egg with them. Left here, it roasts. Kor is shocked and disagrees, worries something dangerous hatches. Do-won thinks there is a safe spot nearby, and agrees to take it. Neri volunteers to carry the egg, and Kor, after seeing Do-won's confidence, relents. Do-won says they gather a few more stones and then return home. Once finished, they arrive back home to find Gisok waiting. He wonders where they are and why Do-won returns so soon. Without asking, Gisok steps forward to carry Do-won's luggage. Do-won warns it is heavy, and Gisok, confident at first, finds it impossible to lift and wonders what can be so heavy. Do-won notices Gisok's face is damaged and wonders what happens. Meanwhile, back in the volcanic region, Kor leaves a giant packet of ramen as a gift, and his monster friends happily eat and dance around it, completely enjoy the flavor. Do-won asks Gisok what happens to his face, thinking he does not seem like someone who gets beaten. Gisok explains that Nari often hits him back in the demon realm. Without giving more details, he runs off, says he is hungry and urges Do-won to hurry with the meal. Meanwhile, Do-won is busy carving luminous stones. Nari comes over and asks what he is doing. Do-won explains that he is making glowing lights from the stones, and if they are used on the ceiling, it looks pretty. Nari realizes how smart he is not just for understanding his work but also for explaining it clearly. She adds that he is kind, almost like a father figure. Do-won smiles and asks if her father in the coconut tribe is doing well. Nari nods quickly, keeps up her previous story. As the day passes and sunset comes, the air grows warm, and Ku feels almost like he is melting, though not as badly as in the volcanic region. Suddenly, he is surrounded by strange figures with glowing red eyes blocking the sun. They are Mandragoras, using a new attack called the Triple Snuggle Formation Ultimate Move. The attack bounces harmlessly off Ku's soft body, leaves him confused while the Mandragoras celebrate. Nari watches and wonders why they fight. Perhaps Ku wanders into their territory. Before anyone can think more, Gisok arrives with a new dish, thanks them for waiting. He brings fried tofu pockets, a sweet and sour treat filled with meat and rice inside a crunchy shell. It looks simple but nice. Ku compliments it even though he does not fully understand it, and Gisok tells everyone to eat. Before they do, Do-won grows serious and asks Gisok again what really happens to his face. Gisok explains that when he goes to the Hunter Association for the screening test, he runs into some A-ranked hunters who mock him for trying for the 7th time. When he fights back, they beat him up. Nari does not care much, only asks if there is more food. Gisok admits he feels miserable being bullied for trying despite failing repeatedly. The hunters even tease him, say his pride falls along with his hair. Do-won, who assumes Gisok just prefers a buzz cut, feels guilty for asking, wanting to help. Do-won asks when Ji-sok's next promotion test is. Ji-sok replies it is scheduled for next month, maybe within 60 days. Hearing this, Do-won stands up and says they start special training for Ji-sok right away. At first Ji-sok is shocked but quickly promises to do his best. Do-won then tells him that he takes over dishwashing from Nari, and also has to clean the luminous stones they collect, since volcanic ash covers them. Ji-sok is confused, thinks this sounds more like chores than training. Do-won, however, tells him directly that if he does not do it, he remains a B rank forever. Then Do-won asks Nari if she wants to go fishing. Excited, she runs off immediately. Left alone, Ji-sok feels disappointed, wonders if this is all a joke, but he tries to stay positive, thinks that Do-won must have a plan. Despite the hard work, he picks up the bag of luminous stones and heads to the lake. As he walks, he reminds himself that although people think he is a natural genius, he only reaches B rank through hard work, perseverance, and repeated effort after 6 failures. At the lake, Nari grows bored because no fish come to her bait, but the fish are drawn to Ji-sok, who washes dishes. Suddenly, he cries out for Do-won's help because water-type monsters attack, and since they are his opposite, they hurt him badly. Do-won sighs, realizes how high maintenance Ji-sok can be, and asks why he is not using his mana to defend himself. Ji-sok admits he is still practicing and cannot control it well. Do-won then hands him a luminous stone. When Ji-sok touches it, dark demonic energy surges out, makes his hand numb until he drops it. Do-won explains that luminous stones sometimes hold condensed magic, and in the demon realm the energy is raw and must be channeled with refined mana. He helps open Ji-sok's mana pathways and tells him to follow the flow while lifting the stone again. Focusing, Ji-sok finally lifts it, uses all his strength. Relieved, he realizes that even the dishwashing and stone cleaning are part of his training. Excited, he accepts it happily, promises to circulate his mana while working and says Do-won can call on him for help anytime, jokes that he is quite domestic. That night, Ji-sok sleeps peacefully, dreams of becoming an A rank. Kuis, however, stays awake, keeps the egg warm for its growth. He notices Nari wake up covered in a strange red mist and step outside. Tilting his head, Kuis wonders where she goes so late at night. Nari notices her dress is dirty. She feels sad because she does not want to ruin the clothes Do-won gives her. She decides to wash them so they are clean again. Ku and Do-won are behind her. Do-won does not understand why she washes clothes at night, but Ku quickly tells him it makes sense since she has no spare clothes. By the lake, Nari is happy when the stains are gone, and her dress looks perfect. Do-won realizes he does not think about her needs before. He tries to act casual, talks about the weather, while Nari pretends to be out for a walk. Then Do-won ties leaves and a flower around her dress, makes it look like his own outfit, and even gives her his favorite forsythia flowers. Suddenly, something rustles in the bushes, and Nari gets scared. Do-won calmly tells her it is just a steel grasshopper, a B-ranked monster. He asks if she needs anything else, like clothes or shoes, but she is already happy. Later in the human world near District 30, Do-won appears through a portal, thinks it is wrong to give her only one set of clothes. Pedestrians notice him barefoot and in unusual clothes. He thinks about letting Nari choose new clothes, but the human world is still risky for her. While he looks for a shop, he remembers. A dirty boy in tattered clothes grabs his shirt and asks if he needs a clothing store. The boy offers to take Do-won to the best shop for 10,000, thinks he is a rookie hunter with no money. Do-won says he pays later, and the boy, impressed, tells him to follow, makes an exception to his usual rule. The boy starts walking, and Do-won thanks him. We learn his name is Bongsu, and Do-won introduces himself. Bongsu says he calls Do-won Big Brother, because he is a senior. As they walk, Do-won notices petrol cars move through the slums, change the area a lot. Bongsu asks if Do-won is awakened for long since he comes out of a gate with no gear, guesses maybe some punks take it. He tells Do-won not to worry because everyone goes through that at first. Do-won just smiles, impressed at how much Bongsu knows. Bongsu shouts that he is not a kid, only small from malnutrition, and he is already number 17. Do-won ignores it and looks around. Bongsu warns him to avoid District 13, says it is dangerous, with the space gang from District 11 taking over, and even the cops giving up. Do-won thinks about the gang, and whether the orphanage in District 13 is still there. They then come to a small shop called 1+1, offer a buy one get one deal for 20,000. It is run by a woman named Park, who looks worn out. Bongsu calls her a Jumma, and she scolds him. Do-won ignores it and looks at the clothes. Need some. Bongsu explains. Do-won is a hunter, which makes Park even angrier for bringing broke hunters. Do-won just hovers around the children's section. Bongsu reminds her she tells him to help pitiful hunters before. Suddenly Do-won takes out a 10 million bill to buy clothes. Park's eyes widen in shock, and she immediately welcomes him. Bongsu gets snacks and drinks while Park excitedly announces clothes for both adults and children. Do-won says he needs clothes for preschool girls, maybe some for himself, and shoes since he is barefoot. The lady smiles and says children's fashion is their specialty, and starts showing him the spring and summer collection. She points out laced clothes, comfy sets, and tells him if it is pink he should just take it. Soon Do-woon has a long bill, and Park cries happily because her shop sells out completely. Do-woon tells her he carries the clothes himself, no shipping needed. After shopping, he gives Bong-soo a new set of clothes in 100,000, then asks for one more favor which surprises the boy. Do-woon tries on the new clothes and enjoys it. They go near an inn, and Bong-soo says it is clean and safe by the police station. Do-woon goes inside, checks it, and gives Bong-soo the keys, tells him to live there since he is on the streets too long. He pays 1 year's rent in advance, and includes meals. Bong-soo is confused, thinks maybe Do-woon has a catch, but Do-woon explains he helps him because Bong-soo reminds him of his own past. Do-woon tells him to take care of himself, promises they meet again. Then Do-woon returns to the demon realm, where Nari and Gisok run toward him. Gisok is naked and covers himself with a blanket. Nari asks where Do-woon goes. He explains he goes shopping and brings gifts for her. She is excited and Koo is surprised at how many clothes he brings. Gisok notices there are none for him, but Nari is thrilled with the pretty clothes. Do-woon tells her to try on whatever she likes, and she starts immediately. Meanwhile, inside the house, the egg already cracks, and something inside tries to come out. Do-woon folds all the clothes he brings back and feels relaxed as he works. Koo and Do-woon watch Nari try on the new outfits. Amazed at how pretty she looks, she is so excited, never having her own clothes before, and spins around the room like a little ghost, unsure which outfit to pick. Do-woon is happy to see her so thrilled, and even Koo admits she looks really cute. Finally, Nari chooses her favorite as a hoodie with a small chick stitched in the middle, which looks like Koo. Koo is shocked, wonders if it is meant to be him, while Do-woon smiles and tells her it is a good choice. She is so excited that she is ready to help put the rest away. Koo, however, worries about what Do-woon does with so many clothes since there is no space. Do-woon explains he plans to expand the house and add a dressing room with a walk-in closet. Koo realizes this means more trees need to be cut, but Do-woon says someone else handles that. Looking toward the forest, he calls Jae-seok for special training. Suddenly, Jae-seok appears full of energy, says he is always ready, and even brings Do-woon's training gear. He thinks Do-woon's leather outfit is poisoned, and that training in it is the secret to his strength. Respect for Do-woon grows, and Jae-seok vows to work harder. In truth, Do-woon just does not wash it properly, but he tells Jae-seok to wear it and chop wood while Koo shows him which trees. Jae-seok panics, warns he can die, and asks why they need wood. Before Do-woon can answer, Nari shouts that the egg acts strange. They all gather around as it shakes violently. Do-woon judges it is about to hatch. Nari is amazed. Jae-seok worries it might be a monster. They argue about whether it is cute. Shells crack, eyes peek out, and sharp claws tear the shell. Jae-seok panics at the thick scales and tongue, but the creature only tries to chirp. Nari immediately finds it adorable, while Jae-seok cannot tell if it is a chick, snake, or something else. The little creature jumps out and grabs Jae-seok's bald head, makes him scream loudly. Later, Jae-seok trains, while Koo taps his shiny bald head with a stick, keeps him moving and reminds him of the mountain of work ahead. Jae-seok does not understand why the creature keeps hitting him and wonders why it feels like it scolds him. Meanwhile, the poison from the leather jacket is so strong that Jae-seok can barely breathe, amazed at how Do-woon wears it all the time. Do-woon, finishing folding all the clothes he brings back, feels relaxed and calm from the task. From another room, Nari calls out that the little creature eats bread gently and behaves nicely. Do-woon realizes it must recognize Nari as the one who saves it. They still have a question as what they should call it. Nari suggests Sasa because it is small and snake-like. As soon as she says the name, the creature darts off, eyes shining, and both Nari and Do-woon watch, curious where it goes. Nari runs after Sasa, and it looks like they play together. Do-woon notices she grows fond of the new family member, but he wonders if Sasa is a known species, having never seen one like it. Koo quietly warns that if Sasa comes from the volcanic region, they need to watch the Mandragoras carefully because monsters from volcanic regions eat plants, especially those with strong demonic energy. Sure enough, Sasa heads straight for the Mandragora field, likely their natural enemy. When Do-woon and the others arrive, they see Sasa and the Mandragoras stare at each other like in a standoff. Nari wants to stop it, but Do-woon says it is better to let them settle the pecking order, as neither side is strong enough to cause serious harm. Sasa darts toward the smallest Mandragora, but the largest blocks the attack with its triangle formation. The second Mandragora swings, but Sasa blocks it with its tail. Koo shouts to stay alert, yet the smallest Mandragora strikes Sasa with a punch, makes it cry for the first time. Shocked, the little creature runs, and the Mandragoras feel proud. Do-woon says with a smile that the Mandragoras win this round, and Koo thinks it is a good match. Jae-seok, exhausted, asks if they should stop, but Koo keeps tapping his head, says training is not over. The scene then shifts, shows a vast sky, and a huge ocean below, with a flying creature that has a human body, and a bird's head. Ku hovers nearby while flicking his wings and hits Gaibsok's bald head with a stick whenever he slows down, tells him to hurry. Neri kneels on the planks, carefully spreads green glue on each piece of wood to make the panels stick. Sasa coils near the doorway, watches her master with bright, curious eyes. Duwon moves between the piles of folded clothes in the half-finished room, places garments neatly on the new shelves. By sunset, the entire day passes. 2 full days later, Gaibsok finally throws the poison leather jacket aside, completely exhausted. His training is over after 2 days without sleep, and it is extremely hard. He mutters about needing breaks but knows that training under Duwon always requires sacrifices. Looking at the crude but finished room, he wonders if it is finally ready. Duwon stands beside him, arms crossed, faintly smiles and says he does better than expected. Gaibsok blinks, unsure what that means, but Nari points out that the room smells like flowers. Soon both men notice the lavender scent too, which calms them after 2 sleepless days. Gaibsok explains that he picks aromatic wood for the shelves, and even the mandragoras seem happy. Their little leaves tremble. Sasa sleeps peacefully, enjoys the scent. Gaibsok remembers the snake's name is Sasa, which Duwon chooses, though he is open to changing it. Gaibsok jokes Snake Chick, to which Duwon wrinkles his nose, and Nari calls it Peepee. Gaibsok suggests majestic footsteps in the drawer, explains his own name as Rocky Mountain Horseshoe. Duwon decides to keep Sasa, since the snake likes it. Gaibsok got the next plan, and Duwon says he wants to build a strong fence around the property to keep intruders out. Gaibsok wonders if anyone dares come near the dark forest, but Duwon warns that sprank monsters or hunters might appear. Gaibsok suggests using yellowish quartz from the coastal region, harder than black stone, and placing luminous stones at the base for strength and beauty. At night, he says, the house glows like a campsite. Duwon imagines it and agrees. Nari claps in excitement. Gaibsok stays calm, and Gaibsok stares at Duwon, shocked, asks if they even know what the coastal region is like. Gaibsok feels a sudden warm trickle from his nose, and realizes that his time in the demon realm pushes him too far. He slumps, pretends to be weak, and tells Duwon he needs to go back to drain some of his demonic energy, or it becomes dangerous. Duwon calmly agrees and tells Gaibsok to stay behind and take care of the mandragoras if they are late. Gaibsok nods but warns Duwon to be careful in the coastal region, which is dangerous and off-limits to anyone below a high rank. Worst of all, 2 disaster-class monsters rule the area. Duwon does not notice the quiet discussion among the others as they try to understand what they are up against. Gaibsok, calmer than the rest, explains that the creatures are once chimera hunters who escape a laboratory long ago. Their faces change into animal-like shapes, but their bodies stay human. Along the coast, another team of adventurers sees the bird-headed monster and is shocked. They quickly ready a tracker, and one fighter channels energy into a glowing ring and throws it at the hybrid. For a moment it seems to hit, but when the dust clears, the monster runs across the sand unharmed. Disaster-class beings rarely run away, and the team begins to doubt their strength. They debate attacking again, but the leader advises patience, waits to strike in its lair. The tracker attaches, but the fighter wonders why these failed experiments still live after 60 years. Jijigong, older member, says failures cannot be predicted. Chimera hunters are both humanity's greatest success and worst failure. The fighter realizes the hybrid is not fleeing but charging at them. The leader calls an emergency barrier, but the wind from the creature shatters it. They realize disaster-class hybrids are dangerous, and panic rises. Suddenly a familiar voice calls out. Nari tells the hybrid not to bully the weak. The bird-headed creature stops mid-lunge, recognizes her. She drops to the ground and the hybrid appears behind her. The hawk hybrid lands and claws in the sand. Nari then explains to Duwon that an uncle like a sparrow causes trouble, and Duwon wonders if it is a sparrow in a man's body. The adventurers are flustered as scanners pick up a machine creature nearby. Nari carries a tracker too, and the hawk seems to recognize Duwon, descends toward him. Duwon whispers that it remembers him as they are once roommates in the lab. He can hardly believe the bird is alive. The chimera hybrid recognizes Duwon's scent instantly. This is subject number 33, who might forget everything else but never the boy who shares its cell. He then refers to Duwon as number 17, and says that it's been long since they last met. 66 years ago, in a forest near the TDA lab, people chase runaways, including bird experiment number 33, and his little sister Jai. Jai is very sick, has a high fever from the lab's experiments. Number 33 runs as fast as he can, worries if taking his sister is the right choice. He thinks maybe it is safer to leave her in the lab, even though he hates that idea. He cries, wishes he can turn into a real bird so Jai can feel the warmth of his wings. He keeps running, tells Jai to hold on, hopes someone helps them after they leave the forest. Suddenly they meet a boy, number 17, the young Da-won, who overhears that 33 is in danger and comes to warn him. Number 33 is angry, says Da-won cannot understand the pain of his side effects, which cause constant seizures and headaches. Jai begs them to just run and live, even if only for one more day. Number 33 puts Jai on a tree and reveals tiny wings from his uniform, says he wants to live free for even a day and challenges Dalwon to fight, but Dalwon stays calm. He breaks a stone to open a portal to the demon realm. Number 33 is shocked, but Dalwon explains that going there is safer. The lab's detonation does not reach them, and even if the demonic energy is dangerous, they can live free for a while. Number 33 wonders if a human can survive there, needs enough mana to protect body and mind, knows the future is uncertain but freedom is worth the risk. Yubam is surprised, wonders why Dalwon helps them even when it does not benefit him. At the same time, lab workers are shocked to see a gate opening in the middle of nowhere and notice Yubam and his sister. Yubam tells Dalwon he is leaving but remembers that they are roommates for 4 years without knowing each other's names. He introduces himself as Yubam, and Dalwon smiles, says his name is Dalwon. The scene shifts to the present, where Dalwon asks adventurers near the cliff his name, but a strange powder in the air makes them forget it. No matter how many times he asks, they cannot remember anything. Dalwon tells them to go back through the gate and forget everything in the demon realm. Yubam and Sasa watch, realize Dalwon wipes their memories using dust of oblivion and hypnosis. Dalwon's body has oblivion herb cells that erase 3 hours of memory before and after. Yubam is amazed that Dalwon does not get side effects despite so many implants. In the present, Dalwon still remembers number 33, surprises Yubam. Nari pulls Dalwon's shirt, asks if he is really friends with the sparrow uncle. Dalwon laughs, says the uncle is from the sparrow tribe. She apologizes to the eagle hybrid, still calls him sparrow uncle. Her stomach growls, so Dalwon asks Yubam if they have food. The scene shifts to a beach, where a huge nest-like house stands. Yubam brings a plate of grilled clams with demon realm butternut and red moss. Nari is shocked by the huge clams. Dalwon is impressed by the taste, and Ku eats first, blushes as the food is incredibly fresh and delicious. He wonders if he swallows the wave, or if the wave swallows him. The clams Nari eats seem to dance with every bite, and the red moss makes the dish even better. Yubam says the red moss works with everything and bows, happy that his guests like the food, tells them to eat slowly. Suddenly the eagle's face turns pale, shows he is in pain, though Dalwon notices it silently. Nari causes a commotion, asks the sparrow uncle for more food. The eagle nervously says he is out of ingredients, but Nari asks if they can catch clams and he makes the dish again. Yubam is shocked, knows it is dangerous for a child to catch clams with monsters in the ocean, but Nari, Sasa and Ku are fine, decide to get 10 clams to eat more. Dalwon and Yubam start talking while the eagle marvels that he survives thanks to immortal cells and now has a good life. Dalwon asks if Yubam wants revenge, but the eagle says he still carries the detonation spell that explodes back in the human world. Dalwon then asks if Yubam can control his wings and why he cannot change back to human form. Yubam explains he stays transformed so his sister Jia does not feel worse about her permanent mutation. Dalwon learns Yubam only has a month to live, and the eagle recalls struggling to balance mana and demonic energy to survive with Jia. Recently Jia's mana hole twists, causes her energy to rage. She eats sleeping fruit and rests to slow it, while Yubam hurts his own mana hole. Dalwon realizes that Mandragora can heal them, but Yubam does not know this. Inside the nest, Jia screams in pain, half-bitten apple in hand as her mutated demonic cells overwhelm her. Yubam is stunned to learn that both he and his sister can actually live longer and that his mana hole illness can be cured. He wonders how this is possible, and Dowoon understands his shock, since the lab never teaches alchemy before experiments turn 15. Dowoon explains that all they need is purified water made from the fine roots of a mandragora. Because Yubam does not know what mandragoras are, Dowoon explains they are plant monsters that scream when pulled out and whose roots absorb demonic energy underground, letting them heal mana holes when purified. Dowoon is grateful they grow mandragoras at home and promises to bring the medicine. Yubam is confused about why Dowoon does so much for him, but Dowoon ignores that and says they need an alchemist to prepare it. Since Yubam cannot enter the human world due to the detonation curse, Dowoon decides to go instead, asks Yubam to watch over Nari, Kuer and Sasa. Yubam agrees immediately. When money becomes an issue, Yubam offers a bag of hunter goods, which Dowoon says is more than enough before he leaves through a gatestone. The scene moves to the human world, where Dowoon walks through the slums with Bongzu, now a well-dressed full-time guide. Bongzu suggests the Alchemist Association nearby and explains his sandbag training, says he wants to become strong like Dowoon. Dowoon smiles, notices Bongzu looks healthier. At the association they see Mr. Kim outside, nervously on the phone with a loan shark, and Bongzu explains the man is demoted and underpaid. Dowoon bluntly says that if the man is demoted he probably does something wrong, but Bongzu sadly explains the truth. Back in Gold City, one of Mr. Kim's seniors secretly steals money meant to help the slums, and is known for taking credit and using dirty methods. Mr. Kim reports him, angers the man, and is punished by losing his good job. After this, Mr. Kim turns around to enter the building and is surprised and happy to see Bongzu, notices he grows taller. Bongsu greets him properly and explains that Do-woon needs an alchemist. Do-woon notices Mr. Kim's calm and refined presence and realizes he is not ordinary. Bongsu soon excuses himself to continue training, while Mr. Kim invites Do-woon inside. Inside the building, a bored receptionist complains in his head about having a terrible boss and no future. When the manager enters with Do-woon, both the receptionist and assistant manager Park are shocked. Mr. Kim offers drinks, but Do-woon refuses and gets straight to the point. Says he knows Mr. Kim is an A+ alchemist and needs mandragora-based Manhwa purified water. Mr. Kim is shocked, especially when Do-woon reveals fresh mandragora roots. Do-woon then shows rare coastal items as payment, including black pearls, a living demon clam and red moss. Mr. Kim says the items are worth more than the whole building. As the assistant manager goes to fetch an appraisal machine, Do-woon notices a bottle holding a dried mandragora. Do-woon is shocked when manager Kim says they have no mandragora, and the man explains that the one in the bottle is already dead. It is 10 years old, and all its healing power is gone. We learn that Mr. Kim loves mandragoras, so he keeps it as a keepsake instead of throwing it away. Do-woon then tells him that the mandragora is actually still alive. Do-woon pours his mana into it, and slowly bubbles appear in the water as it begins to breathe again. Do-woon shows this to Mr. Kim, explains that it reacts whenever mana is given. Mr. Kim is deeply shocked and realizes the mandragora only survives in a suspended state because its demonic energy dries up. When Do-woon tries to give it more mana, Mr. Kim is stunned, since he fails many times before. Suddenly the door bursts open and an old man with a gold tie enters. He is Executive Ng Guai-jong, who mocks the poor office and reminds Mr. Kim of his downfall. It is revealed that assistant manager Park informs him to gain favor. Guai-jong notices the rare items and learns Do-woon brings them. He introduces himself as Executive Gang Guai-jong and offers Do-woon a deal to move to Gold City. Do-woon ignores him, asks about a mole on his face, and mentions Bok Deok, asking Guai-jong what's his relationship with him. Guai-jong admits he is his grandson. Do-woon then remembers a cruel man from his past with the same mole and loses control of his anger, forces Guai-jong to his knees. He coldly asks if the TDA lab still exists. Do-woon shouts angrily, demands a clear answer about whether the TDA Research Institute still exists. Hearing the name, Executive Gyo Jang becomes frightened and quickly bows on his knees, says he has never heard of such a place. Do-woon asks again, accuses him of knowing about the illegal Chimera Research Institute where his grandfather works as a senior researcher. This shocks manager Kim, who hides behind a table and listens. He cannot believe that a scientist who wins the Gold Peace Prize is involved in illegal research. Trembling, Gyo Jang begs Do-woon not to insult his late grandfather, says the man devotes his life to research and teaching students at a university. After retiring, he donates all his wealth to families of gate victims and receives the prize for that act. Inside, Do-woon thinks bitterly that after killing many children in secret, the old man only shows regret on the surface. Do-woon coldly says he expects Gyo Jang's grandfather to live longer because he is an awakener, but he dies earlier than expected. When Do-woon asks if it is due to injuries from falling out of a window, Gyo Jang is completely shaken, since that incident is never made public. Memories rush back to Do-woon from the time the experiments still happen. He remembers pushing the old man out of the window after the man kidnaps children, turns them into chimeras, and threatens to throw them into gates. Filled with anger, Do-woon does it without hesitation. Returning to the present, Do-woon warns Gyo Jang that he gives him one chance to return, investigate his grandfather, and look into the TDA Research Institute. He says they meet again in the future. Do-woon then reflects on his own past, remembers how he is only 9 when the Chimera experiments begin, and how monsterization later starts in his 20s. His memories from that time are blurry, like living in a world without reason, only following instincts. He wonders if so much time passes that the institute changes its name many times. Just then, manager Kim enters with purified water made from mandragora, apologizes for the wait. Do-woon praises his speed and skill as an A+ alchemist. Nari explains that the materials are excellent, make the work easy. Do-woon then proposes a 10-year personal contract, offers to supply materials while Nari handles the brewing. Nari is shocked and deeply moved, realizes such materials can buy a building. Tears fall as he explains he grows up in the slums and struggles his whole life to repay his family's debts. He thanks Do-woon sincerely and promises to take care of him from now on. Do-woon quietly notes there is much to discuss later and decides to return since it is evening. The scene then shifts back to the demon realm, where chaos erupts as Jia, completely out of control, lifts Yubeom by the head like a wild beast. Yubeom, the eagle-headed man, feels deep regret, realizes he should know that Jia can lose control in her condition. Crying, he begs his sister to calm down, but Jia only growls like a demon, slams him into the ground and throws him far away, breaks rocks as he flies. Yubeom understands it is already too late, but then he sees Neri and Ko run toward him, worried, and ask if he is hurt. Ko asks why Yubeom does not fight back. Yubeom reminds himself that Doowon must not be troubled, and that his duty is to keep his promise and protect the child in Ko at all costs. Remembering how Doowon once saves them, Yubeom gathers his strength, spreads his wings, and rushes toward Jia with tears in his eyes, ready to kill her so she is free in her next life. Just before they collide, a jellyfish-like creature suddenly appears between them and expands. It is Doowon, who uses monster cells to calm Jia down. Yubeom freezes in shock, while Doowon looks down, unsure if the sleeping poison dose is enough. Neri cheers happily that Doowon is back. Yubeom then notices Doowon sits on Jia, uses the jellyfish as a cushion, and Doowon sighs, wonders if there is any other way to stop her. Yubeom asks about the medicine, and Doowon smiles, says he gets it easily and brings 2 bottles, one for Yubeom and one for Jia. Later that night, a campfire burns softly as Jia, Neri and Ku sleep peacefully. When Jia wakes up, she is confused to see a child sleeping nearby, and then notices Yubeom and Doowon by the fire. Startled, she screams, asks who Doowon is, wakes Neri, who cheerfully calls her Sparrow Auntie. Yubeom asks Jia to check her mana hole, and she realizes it is healed and her face is normal again. Then Jia stares at Doowon and recognizes him as number 17. She thanks him sincerely for saving them again. Suddenly, Neri points at the sea glowing with golden light. Jia explains it is a sea fairy that appears at night and can lead them to glowing yellow quartz. Doowon realizes that is their true goal, stands up smiling and says it is a long time since he goes swimming. Far away in a lab, a scientist watches reports about a mechanical creature last seen near the coast, until Executive Ann calls, angrily asks about any link to the TDA Research Institute. The scientist tells Executive Ann that he has never heard of such a lab, but Ann insists it is an illegal research facility that exists secretly long ago. Before Ann can say more, the scientist interrupts and says that the Hanbit Research Lab never does the kind of experiments Ann describes. He adds that his grandfather always teaches him to be an honest and upright researcher, and that their lab is never involved in anything illegal. However, his expression clearly shows that he knows exactly what Ann talks about. After the call ends, the scientist leans back in his chair, deep in thought, feels uneasy about how Ann knows about a lab that is supposed to be completely erased from history. Soon after, someone knocks on his office door. When he allows them to enter, an assistant rushes in excitedly and announces that they successfully combine liquid metal and mandragora, creating a liquid metal mandragora. The scientist is pleased because he knows mandragoras are special creatures with strong loyalty, deep bonds, and powerful merging abilities. He is glad he saved some liquid metal for experiments. Confident, he believes that a chimera made from metal mandragora finds the mechanical life form faster than any hunter. It is designed to sense her unique mana. He immediately orders the bounty on the mechanical creature to be tripled and commands all elite A-rank hunters to be deployed. No matter the cost, he has to find her, as she is the greatest result of his life's work. Back in the demon realm, Yubeom stands quietly by the shining sea, remembers a talk with Doowon about quartz. Doowon casually says he wants it to build a house, which shocks Yubeom, and even invites him over, mentions they have a good cook. Yubeom realizes Doowon seems happier living in danger than most people. Doowon then asks if Yubeom ever wants to visit the human world. Yubeom says he is not very curious, but still wonders how much it changes. Doowon then explains there might be a way to remove the curse on Yubeom and his sister. He speaks about Manager Kim, a skilled alchemist, and says he wants him to research cursed spells. He tells Yubeom that having a choice matters. Moved by this kindness, Yubeom asks why Doowon helps them so much. Doowon replies that seeing the siblings reminds him there is more to life than just surviving, and helping them gives him purpose. He feels that by helping them he might finally find the answer he looks for. In the present moment, Yubeom stands quietly and looks out at the clear blue sea. Suddenly his sister appears far away in the sky, waves at him and throws a thick rope across the water. She shouts for him to grab it and pull as hard as he can. Confused but trusting her, Yubeom catches the rope and starts pulling with all his strength. The rope is extremely heavy, but he keeps going without stopping. After a long struggle, he finally pulls out a huge net filled with shining quartz stones. Yubeom is left speechless. He cannot believe that Doowon and a small child managed to collect so much. Nari and Doowon soon appear, completely soaked and laughing, clearly have fun while swimming and mining deep in the sea. They even reach the sea fairy's palace under the water, which amazes them. Nari says the palace walls look like glowing yellow coral, and suggests they visit again someday when they have more time. Back on the shore, Yubeom looks at the large pile of quartz and wonders how Doowon plans to move it all back to the forest area. Doowon scratches his head and admits he has no plan yet. Suddenly, a huge shadow passes over them. Doowon looks up and sees a giant parrot-like vulture monster flying alone in the sky, which confuses him since such birds usually travel in groups. Nari admires its colorful feathers, but Jia warns her that it is very dangerous and grows over 4 meters long. Yubeom immediately understands what Doowon thinks, and Doowon admits it with a grin, says they just find a flying transport. Meanwhile, at Doowon's house, Jia trains his mana while small mandragoras watch calmly. He feels his mana hole expand and smiles, thinks his dream of becoming an A-rank hunter may come true. Suddenly a liquid metal mandragora appears behind him along with 3 A-rank hunters who recognize him and laugh cruelly. Before they can act, the mandragoras step forward to protect him, and the largest one kicks a hunter away. At the same time, Yubiom and Jia arrive nearby, sense trouble, as Dawoon is still behind after badly beating the flying bird while trying to tame it. Jae-seok looks at the monsters and wonders why all this happens, especially since he is alone in the forest. He thinks Yubom and Jia must be disaster-level monsters from the coastal area, and is confused why they appear here. He also worries about Nari and Dawoon, who go to the coast, and his face turns pale, fears something bad happens to them. Jae-seok thinks about teaming up with the hunters in the forest, but before he can act, he sees Jia flying toward him. She asks if he is Dawoon's chef, and seeing his bald head scares Jae-seok so much that he runs away immediately. Even in his past, he has no experience with women, so he is startled. Then he realizes Jai mentions Dawoon and wonders if she knows about his brother. When the bird says Dawoon is her friend, Jae-seok is shocked, wonders how Dawoon can have disaster-level monsters as friends. Yubeom then asks about the hunters, and Jae-seok quickly realizes he can use this as a chance to protect himself. He smiles wickedly, and the adventurers immediately sense danger. Jae-seong hour later, Yubeom, Jai and their friends land on the ground at incredible speed, break it apart. The parrot vulture carries all the cores Dawoon and Nari collect along with the smaller pets. Dawoon praises the bird and tells it to rest. Jai and Yubeom are amazed that Dawoon can tame the beast. The dizzy birdie rolls out of the feathers and lands near the 3 A-rank adventurers, surprises them. Meanwhile, Jaya bends down near Nari, asks to see the valley near their house. Nari happily agrees, says there is a beautiful waterfall and promises to teach Jaya how to catch fish. The eagle-headed Yubeom tells Dawoon that the A-rank hunters come from the Hanbit Research Institute. Dawoon realizes they might be here because Jae-seok originally comes looking for the mechanical creature and is a reliable lead. He also expects more hunters because Nari has a special tracking device that works even in the demon realm, which explains why she is not free. Still, Dawoon wonders how the hunters end up in the forest since he just returns from the coastal area with Nari. Then Yubeom remembers something and shows Dawoon a small metallic creature as a mutated mandragora created by the Research Institute. Dawoon realizes they combine liquid metal with mandragoras, likely to track Nari. But the mandragora in the forest follows healthy mandragoras near Dawoon's house, not Nari herself. Yubeom mentions the hunters probably head to the coast next, so Dawoon knows they need a plan. Suddenly, all the mandragoras run to Dawoon, excitedly signal that even a chimera is their kin, and they want to protect him. Dawoon gives the liquid metal mandragora to the group, but a small shriveled mandragora in his pocket screams for attention. He explains it is raised by an alchemist who trusts Dawoon to care for it. The other mandragoras quickly dig holes for the new ones to enjoy the demonic energy in the farmland. Just then Jia calls from above, returns with Nari and Jae-seok. Jae-seok cries and tries to hug Dawoon, but Dawoon stops him, realizes Jae-seok is bitten by fish while alone in the water. The man explains that he tries to help the fish since Dawoon handles them so easily, but instead he gets attacked. Nari adds that Sparrow Auntie saves them both in style. Jae-seok then comes back to his senses and says they just need to wait a bit for some delicious food. But a giant creature stands in front of them, and Jae-seok turns pale, fears it might eat them. Dawoon decides to explain later because he is hungry, so food needs to be prepared. Jae-seok begins cooking, and Nari wonders what the menu is. Suddenly she runs to the liquid metal chimera, and when she touches it something makes her instantly sad. By evening the food is finally ready, surprises Yubeom and Jia. Jae-seok makes kimchi curry rice with simmered beef bone soup, adds salmon, pork and plenty of chopped vegetables, stirs carefully for an hour so nothing burns. When Yubeom and Jia eat, they are in heaven. Even notice some Indian spices in the soup. Dawoon finds their reactions funny, but he sees Nari does not eat. She says she has no appetite, gets up and runs to sleep, worries about the chimera. Meanwhile, the new mandragoras enjoy themselves, and the shriveled mandragora wakes up curious. Yubeom and Jia feel full and happy, joke about overeating. Dawoon suggests making a fence to help digestion, but the siblings say they handle the stone cutting. Suddenly a gate opens, and Nari, crying, decides to enter it with the metal mandragora. Thinks staying in the demon realm is too dangerous for everyone else, leaves Dawoon nervous and unsure what is about to happen. Dawoon quickly comes to help, calls out the child's name as she cries, worries about what she might do. The portal opens inside the house, and Nari is about to leave, but Dawoon reminds her that this is her home, just like she says before. Hearing that, both siblings, Yubeom and Jia, realize how much the kids grow in an instant. Nari turns around, hugs Dawoon tightly while holds onto the metallic chimera mandragora. Dawoon knows he cannot afford to get distracted. Later, Nari sits at the dining table, cries but eats a bowl of delicious ramen, tells Jae-seok uncle that it is even better than last time. Jae-seok smiles, says late-night ramen is always the best, Jia soaks Nari for running away so quickly, and the girl agrees, continues to eat despite the spiciness. Jia Sok hands her a bottle of probiotic milk, and even Yubiom recognizes it as something the research institute provides. After everyone finishes eating, Jia Sok offers to clear the dishes, while Yubiom and Jia consider cutting quartz again. Nari apologizes for worrying Du-won, and he reassures her she does nothing wrong. Then he seriously asks about her friends from the coconut tribe, knows she might have information about other children he needs to save. Nari denies having friends, but Du-won knows Jia Sok handles the task he assigns. Meanwhile, Jia Sok laughs devilishly in another place, while a masked adventurer he restrains is allowed to speak after his mouth is uncovered, confirms that the situation is under control. Jia Sok hits the hunter repeatedly, but the man tries to stop him, says they can make a deal. He offers money he saves in exchange for freedom to return to the human world, claims it can even buy a house in Gold City. Jia Sok, however, is not impressed. He pulls a black bank card from his pocket, shows the hunter that he is not someone to fool. The hunter realizes this card is for the ultra-elite, and Jia Sok has it, surprises him. Jia Sok then reminds the hunter that revenge for a promotion exam is small compared to hurting weak people and stealing their money, which these hunters do. Jia Sok rummages in his pocket again, takes out 3 golden balls made from the pollen of the oblivion herb that Du-won gave him. He concentrates them so strongly that just sniffing them makes the hunters confused and feel guilt for crimes they never do. Still, the hunters refuse to give up, so Jia Sok prepares to finish them by forcing one hunter's jaw open, but the scene cuts to the next day. Nari and Ku run around while Sasa perches on her shoulders, and Yubiom thinks raising a child is exhausting. Du-won talks with Yubiom about cleaning the Hanbit Research Institute, takes Jia Sok and Ku along, and leaves Yubiom to watch the house. Jia Sok then tells Du-won that all preparations are ready, excited because he meets an A+ alchemist who can help him. Jia watches quietly, worries that Du-won needs a disguise to enter the institute safely, and Jia Sok wonders if they also use one when meeting the alchemist. Jia takes off her head mask, looks as beautiful as ever, and tells Du-won he should at least take the skull as a disguise, since being a wanted man with his real face is dangerous. Du-won wonders if it even fits. While Jia Sok stares at Jia in shock, his heart races. Yubiom jokes that since Jia's head is big for her small face, the mask probably fits Du-won. Blushing, Jia Sok realizes he falls in love at first sight. Jia immediately starts hitting Yubiom for his comment, stretches his head as he screams. Jia Sok gets down on one knee, smiles charmingly, and asks Jia about her type, shocks everyone, including Du-won and Yubiom. Jia says she likes flashy people who dance well, and adds she likes people with lots of hair, crushes Jia Sok, who has very little. Fired up, Jia Sok tells Du-won they have to meet the alchemist to fix his hair. Meanwhile, in the real world, a huge gate opens, and a massive parrot vulture bursts out at incredible speed, shocks humans who report it to the association. 3 people ride the bird as Jia Sok, Ku and Du-won under his skull mask. Du-won names the bird Blue. At the Hanbit Institute, the head scientist is furious when told all hunters return with amnesia, and the tracking chimera is lost. Jia Sok's assistant hands him a small orb and a note, but before he can react, the parrot vulture crashes through the wall, bends its tail feather, while Jia Sok and Ku roll in shock. Then Du-won calmly asks the terrified employees who the lab director is. A little before the raid on the Hanbit Research Institute, Du-won, Jia Sok and Ku fly on the parrot vulture. Blue, Jia Sok tells Du-won that the lab is halfway up the mountains between the slums and Gold City, not far from their location. Jia Sok is worried, feels out of the loop. Hanbit is not a normal lab as they create mechanical organisms from liquid metal, including Nari. The institute even wins awards in the media, though their experiments should be crimes. Jia Sok notices Du-won seems unfazed, certain he already has a plan. He looks at Blue's tail feathers, which Du-won explains do not grow on the left side, making the bird different. Du-won saves it after it is attacked by its own kind, and now Blue seems grateful. Jia Sok wonders why such a small difference causes attacks, and Du-won explains that parrot vultures are obsessed with perfect tail feathers and attack anyone who looks different. Jia Sok relates to this, thinks of his own bald head. As the lab comes into view, Du-won orders Blue to charge at full speed into the building. Jia Sok and Jia Sok hold on tightly, terrified of being thrown off since Blue's uneven tail makes flying unstable. They crash straight into the lab. Inside, scientists are shocked. A female scientist recognizes the enormous monster, and a male scientist grabs something for support but panics when he sees Blue standing inside. Suddenly, Du-won uses his powers to wrap everyone in strong spider webs, captures them. Jia Sok asks why they use the back entrance instead of the main one. Du-won explains the head researcher's office is on the top floor and asks the tied-up scientist to confirm it is Hanbit. Confused, they do not respond. Du-won introduces himself as Nari's guardian, but the scientists do not understand. Then he senses something ominous as a chimera is nearby. Meanwhile, in Gold City at the Hunter Association, an old man questions a young boy, Baik Ho, about his B-ranked exam preparation, warns him that failure can mean being kicked out. Baik Ho, a C-class hunter in his early 20s, feels pressured by his grandfather, who is also a C-ranked hunter and head of the association. Returning to the office after a long time, Baik Ho also wants some pocket money, wonders why his grandfather pushes him so hard. The scene shifts to Baik Ho and his grandfather in Gold City. The old man sighs at his grandson, says he is raised carefully as his only heir, but at 84 it is time for someone to take over the Hunter Association. Baik Ho is nervous, sweats and is not interested in the responsibility. The grandfather explains that in his youth he sees awakened individuals risk their lives to save others, which inspires him to create the Hunter Association to help protect the world. But now, most awakened hunters only care about money and avoid real danger. The old man believes life should not be decided by wealth, and that the association needs to stand for justice. He wants Baik Ho to become chairman so he can build a stronger, fairer foundation. Baik Ho is about to protest when an assistant rushes in, reports that a giant parrot vulture monster appears in the slums. Both Baik Ho and his grandfather are shocked, since no natural gate signals appear. The assistant says hunters are being contacted but none are responding, likely because slum residents cannot afford them. The grandfather decides to act personally and tells the assistant to alert nearby Chimera labs. Baik Ho insists on coming to help as well. Meanwhile, at the Hanbit Research Institute, Do-won captures the head researcher with spider webs, but something feels wrong. The man does not speak and gives off a strange purple chimera energy. Do-won tightens the webs until the researcher splits in half, reveals that he transforms into a liquid metal chimera. Ji-seok and Ko are shocked, realize the true power of a liquid metal chimera. The lab scientists are also stunned, see their director's disfigured, half-liquid body. The chimera director challenges Do-won, threatens his life to protect the lab's secrets. Do-won realizes the director, like Nari, enhances his body with biological experiments. Suddenly, Ko telepathically informs Do-won that he accesses the Chimera director's memories. Flashbacks show the director is crueler than the previous scientist, obsessed with money and fame, kidnaps children and performs horrific experiments. Enraged, Do-won grabs the twisted head of the scientist, demands to know how he dares harm children and commit such evil acts just for greed and recognition. Even though Do-won is furious, the head scientist shows no regret at all. While Do-won holds him tightly, the scientist sneers, says the children are just gutter kids from the slums, and should feel lucky to have been given a chance by him. This makes Do-won so angry that he slams the Chimera hybrid scientist onto the lab floor. The impact is so strong that the scientist's body cannot move properly, forces him to liquefy himself to escape. But Do-won is not going to let him go easily. He channels his demonic energy and tells the scientist that since he talks so much, he now reflects in the chamber of pain and time. The scientist never feels such immense power and now suffers just as he tortures innocent children. Do-won does not stop. He waits a long time to punish him. Slowly the scientist's body condenses in Do-won's hands until it becomes a tiny bead-like crystal. Gi-seok and the bird are shocked, unsure what happens. Do-won picks up the glowing crystal and tells the remaining scientists to cooperate or face the same fate. Terrified, they begin sweating, realize the seriousness of the threat. Later, Do-won and the bird walk and learn that An and Bokdeok are once master and disciple, but Bokdeok steals An's research and turns himself into a chimera to stay young, driven by greed. Do-won knows Neri's tracker is destroyed, prevents further pursuit, and Gi-seok with the giant vulture blue manages cleanup. Using telepathy, the bird discovers a hidden underground location. Do-won kicks open a massive steel door and sees green canisters holding children being forcibly turned into chimeras. The bird realizes the scientist preserves dead chimeras for data, shows his cruelty. Do-won remembers how he himself is experimented on for profit, exploited as both human and chimera, never cared for, and left to suffer while doctors treat him like an object. Now seeing the children, he feels deep sadness and wants to give them peace. Suddenly he hears something behind him. Turning, he sees a figure he first thinks is a child, but it is a fox. The fox seems shocked by Do-won's scent and says he recognizes it. Do-won realizes the fox picks up Neri's scent from him, though he is still surprised the fox can speak. The bird quickly says it cannot be his scent because he bathes every day, so it has to be Do-won's. Do-won immediately asks the fox if he knows anything about mechanical life forms. The fox asks if they meet Neri, and Do-won explains that she is safe and lives happily with them in the demon realm. Hearing this, the fox wags his tail and cries with joy, says he waits to know she is alive and well. Do-won remembers Neri saying her best friend in the lab is a fox, and now he realizes this is the same one. He asks if there are others alive, and the fox calls out a small tree-like being, an ant, and several mutated ground squirrels fused with mandragora DNA. 7 creatures survive, the only remaining chimera since the combat types are killed or sold for profit. Seeing that they all still have traces of demonic energy, Do-won knows they do well in the demon realm and opens a gate for them. Shocked but trusting him, they enter safely. That evening, the Hanbit Research Institute is engulfed in flames. The Hunter Association chairman and Hunter Baekho arrive, realize the slums are a distraction, and the real target is the lab. Baekho spots the flying parrot vulture monster, and the chairman is stunned to see someone riding it. Jiplasok reports all researchers are safely evacuated. Do-woon knows the lab is legal, so no one outside knows of the crimes. Jiplasok wonders if they should have erased the scientist's memories, but Do-woon smiles, says that is why they do not hide. Looking down, Do-woon asks Jiplasok about the two people below, and learns they are the chairman and his grandson. Remembering something, Do-woon throws the crystal ball made from the chimera scientist at the chairman, who catches it easily, sweats nervously as his grandson asks what is happening. Hunters soon report no casualties, though some researchers claim the head scientist is a chimera, and the attackers help them evacuate from a fire they start themselves. Later, Do-woon tells Jiplasok to return to the slums. That night, Mr. Kim is startled awake by a loud noise and opens the door to see Jiplasok badly injured. Thinking he is a thief, the alchemist screams, but Do-woon appears behind him, removes his skeletal helmet, and calmly tells him to come to the realm immediately, no questions asked. Jia and her brother are busy working with Nari, making a fence from quartz and glowing stones. They explain that first they drill holes in the neatly cut quartz pieces and then fit the polished luminous stones inside. When they press the stones into place, a bright light spreads across the fence, and Nari's eyes light up as she shouts to Bal, the sparrow uncle, that it looks amazing. Jia laughs, says she would never have thought of something like that. Sasa, however, jumps at the glowing fence, thinks it is an enemy, while the sparrow calmly says they just need a longer fence and wonders how many pieces they need. Suddenly a gate appears nearby, shocks Jia, who assumes Do-woon comes back. But instead a group of small adorable chimeras appears, having been teleported unexpectedly. The siblings wonder if Do-woon sends them, but Nari immediately recognizes them and runs behind the house in panic. Jia tries to understand her reaction, but Nari has no time to explain. Nearby, Sasa interrogates the new chimeras as if they are criminals. The siblings at first think Sasa is just scared of strangers, but Jia realizes he wants to show dominance. His first target is the leafy chimera, but it ignores him and walks straight toward the vegetable patch Do-woon grows for the mandragoras. Furious mandragoras suddenly appear, their numbers now 5, and are ready to defend their patch. Meanwhile, in the demon realm, Do-woon and the others arrive safely. The giant bird Blue stretches its wings happily, and Do-woon tells him to rest. With them are Ji-seok, Manager Kim, and the alchemist, all relieved to return home. Manager Kim is amazed, cannot believe Do-woon builds a full home in the demon realm, searches for doors and windows in disbelief. Do-woon, however, notices Nari alone near a tree, and tells the others to stay put. He approaches her and offers the skeleton mask, assures her everything goes well. Ji-seok says she makes another mask for Do-woon. Just then, the grass chimera and mandragora stare each other down. The sapling chimera wants the vegetable patch, and neither side gives up. The ant prepares to jump but instead helps the sapling chimera, picks up a vine and throws it like a shot put. The small mandragoras are stunned, and the metallic mandragora quickly swats the vine aside, makes the ant furious at the counterattack. The sparrow siblings watch in awe, realize that the mandragoras improve their teamwork a lot, but the sapling chimera and the ant are impressive too. Before things get worse, both sides finally step back from the vegetable patch, along with the other chimeras. Do-woon exhales, happy that the chaotic welcome ends, but one problem still remains, fixing the broken relationship between Neri and the fox. The fox sniffs Neri over and over, now sure that she is the same mechanical creature it knows. Neri bows her head, wants to apologize and refuses to move until the fox accepts her remorse. The scene shifts into a flashback, shows Neri's past. In a sterile lab, scientists talk about how she refuses to fight in ranked matches despite her high scores. Whenever she enters a match, she just stands there, takes attacks without defending herself. They realize that although she is built for fighting, her gentle nature clashes with the violent environment. She is bullied, and instead of fighting back, she endures everything, and dismisses their concerns, calls her foolish, and decides to force her to trust weak roommates and then betray them in battle to break her spirit. She meets the small kind chimeras, who grow attached to her, but the scientists force them to betray her. When told she has to kill her friends to survive, she refuses and runs straight into the demon realm, leaves the scientists shocked at her escape. Back in the present, Neri returns to her mechanical form, trembles and cries in front of the fox, who also cries, regrets that it hurts her. Neri reaches out, says she misses them all and will never leave again. Do-woon and the bird siblings watch from behind a tree, quietly retreat to respect her privacy. Do-woon feels relieved at the quick reconciliation. Meanwhile, Ji-seok and Manager Kim stay exactly where Do-woon asks, stiff and silent. Do-woon tells them they can move, explains he wants Neri not to be startled by strangers. The sparrow siblings become curious about the man in pajamas standing beside Ji-seok. Do-woon introduces him as an A-rank alchemist who can lift their curses. Manager Kim politely steps forward, asks the siblings if he can pluck a few feathers, surprises the bird siblings who wonder what this strange alchemist plans. Bongsu and the shop lady talk about how crazy the place is earlier. A huge blue monster bird flies out of a gate, and hunters from the Hunter Association rush in, causing chaos everywhere. The lady who stays inside wonders if it is really that bad, since she does not hear anything. Bongsu quickly changes the topic, talks about how cold the weather gets. The lady agrees, thinks winter might be coming. Then Bongsu notices what she serves him: hot roasted sweet potatoes, steam in the chilly air, along with tea and a few side dishes. She says nothing beats roasted sweet potatoes on a cold day. Bongsu thanks her shyly and eats slowly, feels warmth with every bite. The lady tells him to eat plenty since there are more potatoes, but Bongsu hesitates, feels embarrassed to eat alone. She reassures him she already eats and worries about his pale face and constant shivering. Bongsu explains it is probably from overtraining, but even with medicine, the chills last 10 days. Her eyes widen as she tells him these are the exact signs of an awakening: fever, dizziness, body aches that last about 10 days. Since Bongsu is 17, the timing is right for awakening, but Bongsu refuses to believe it, shakes his head. The lady grows annoyed, scolds him, says awakening does not care about where someone comes from, and since he grows taller recently, he should at least hope. She smacks his chest with coins, tells him to use the money to go to the Hunter Association in Silver City for testing. Bongsu is moved, thanks her and calls her ma'am, which makes her shout that she is not old enough for that. Bongsu promises dramatically to repay her tenfold, and keeps calling her ma'am to annoy her. Meanwhile, in the demon realm, everyone is busy working. Jia places glowstones into quartz, drills holes and fits polished stones to make glowing fence posts, helped by the chimeras. Sasa sometimes attacks the stones, mistakes them for enemies, while Yubiam carries materials tirelessly. Jia-sok is exhausted but stays to help, because Manager Kim is still there, and he has his own reasons. When the work is done, everyone gathers around Do-woon. He explains that while Manager Kim treats Blue's tail feathers, they should finish the remaining tasks. Jia-sok does not share his important news, but Do-woon lets him wait to keep Nari focused. Despite being tired, Jia-sok stays. Do-woon reminds everyone that living here means helping, big or small. Nari the fox and the chimeras all agree, while Yubiam feels proud to contribute. Later, Do-woon walks with Nari, says he has some fence pieces left to line along the path. She smiles, says it looks beautiful, and Do-woon gently asks if she fully makes up with her friends. Nari freezes and slowly says she makes up with her friends, but then hesitates and asks if Do-woon really goes to the coconut tribe. He nods, and she grows uneasy, realizes he might now know she is not really human. She tries to tell him the truth, that she is not from the coconut tribe, but before she finishes, Do-woon flicks all the glowstones into the sky, and catches them with his webs, lights the area beautifully. He assures her that no one comes after her, and that he takes care of everything. Then he suggests that since their family grows, they should call themselves the coconut tribe. Nari's eyes light up, and she thanks him repeatedly as the glowstone pillars shine warmly. Do-woon pats her head and says it is time to return, as everyone waits. Back home, Nari proudly declares they are now the coconut tribe. Do-woon laughs, and Jia and her brother exchange relieved looks. Jisok, exhausted, perks up with joy that Do-woon returns. The fences are complete, and the moment Nari steps in, Fox runs to her in panic, relieved she is safe. Do-woon lets them be, thinks kids fight and grow. Blue then swoops down at high speed, nearly crushes Do-woon with excitement, but Do-woon catches him easily and hugs him, laughs. Manager Kim arrives, announces that Blue's treatment finishes, and Do-woon checks his feathers as they are fully repaired. Manager Kim explains how a little red moss Do-woon gives him works better when applied by an alchemist. Do-woon lifts Blue playfully, amused by the alchemist's strength, and Manager Kim thanks him. Gae-seok whispers to Manager Kim about a hair loss cure, and the alchemist admits he researches one for 10 years, promises to give some to Gae-seok. The Sparrow siblings listen as Manager Kim explains the mandragora and feather spell formation is very complex, needs red mandragora fruits. Do-woon reveals he grows an entire mandragora orchard in his backyard and feeds them high-grade manna. Mandragoras absorb energy to grow fruit, which they reabsorb. The fruit holds strong energy and becomes poisonous if taken by force. He adds rocks so mandragoras hide while bearing fruit. Manager Kim marvels at his knowledge. Do-woon smiles, says his memories return because of his past with mandragoras. A flashback shows test subject number 17, before becoming Do-woon, goes alone on a 10-day survival drill in the Alpine region, sees it as a nature walk and aims to reach the mountain summit, when he hears rustling and finds an injured mandragora. The boy quickly picks up the mandragora, but as soon as it wakes up it thinks it is being attacked and hits Do-woon's hand away. He realizes it is a small but feisty creature. In reality, the mandragora is very weak and badly hurt, looks like it might collapse at any moment. Do-woon feels a little funny feeling of pity for it, even though he should not care. He puts his hand on the ground and gives mana to the mandragora. Slowly the mandragora absorbs it and calms down. Even though it is still a monster, Do-woon cannot help feeling sorry for it. After taking the mana, the mandragora finally falls asleep. Do-woon knows it is tired and rests once nourished. Looking at its cute little face, he wonders if he should keep it with him for a few days. That evening, Do-woon walks with the mandragora sitting in his front pocket like it guides him. The little creature leads him to a deep cave, and he decides to sleep there for the night. Inside the cave, the mandragora keeps watching him curiously, and Do-woon notices it moves around energetically, probably feels better after the mana. He drinks some water and sees the mandragora looking at him with puppy-like eyes, sparkling with stars. Realizing it is thirsty, he gives it the rest of the water, and the mandragora drinks it happily. Do-woon tells it not to shake itself too much or it spills the water. Suddenly the mandragora's head is shocked and it runs into a small crack in the cave as a blue light flashes. After a moment it returns with 3 small red fruits and gives them to Do-woon. Even though he usually avoids unknown plant fruits, he trusts the mandragora and eats them. The fruits are sweet, fragrant, and refreshing, and he feels mana filling his body. Curious, he peeks into the crack and sees the mandragora produces more red berries filled with mana. Even though it grows weaker, it keeps giving him the fruits, tries to repay him for saving it. Feeling sorry, Do-woon tells the mandragora it is enough and that he is full. Then he realizes mandragoras normally eat their own fruits to grow, so he takes mana the mandragora needs. Do-woon knows he has to find a way to make it up to the little creature later. Do-woon is even more surprised when he sees the mandragora climb onto his lap and fall asleep there. He wonders why it chooses him when it already has a safe little nook in the rocks. Still, he wants the creature to rest well and finds it very interesting. He knows he is not bored with the mandragora around. As snow keeps falling, several snow monsters appear outside the cave. Do-woon realizes they want the mandragora fruits because they are full of pure energy. Determined to protect the little creature, he transforms his hands into huge monster-like claws, scares many away. The monsters who stay are easily defeated by him. The mandragora filled with mana is happy and comfortable, enjoys being with Do-woon. But then Do-woon has to leave. He needs to return because of the lab's spell, even though he does not want to. The mandragora sleeps, and leaving it feels sad. He thinks about why he cares so much, remembers his own lonely past in the snow. Do-woon knows the mandragora might not survive if left alone, but he has no choice. He quickly makes a protective web trap around the cave, tells the mandragora it is for safety, and gives some silkworm thread to the little plant, asks it to wear it and keep it safe. The mandragora seems shy but accepts it. Then a gate opens, and Do-woon says goodbye. The mandragora runs but gets hit by a rock and cries. Do-woon says goodbye with a heavy heart, feels sorry he cannot protect it longer. Later, both the mandragora and Gi-sok are crying. The bird wonders what happens. Do-woon returns 2 weeks later, but the cave is destroyed by a landslide, leaves no trace of the mandragora. He feels very guilty. Bong-soo tells him not to worry because the mandragora might be buried or eaten, but Gi-sok hopes it is still alive since it has the silkworm thread. Do-woon cannot stop thinking about it, wishes the mandragora survives. Then the scene shifts to the snowy mountains, where countless mandragoras stand together like an army. At the front is the same mandragora Do-woon once saves, shows it survives and grows strong, leads the others confidently. The manager thinks he should try to find the mandragoras, because Do-woon makes a vegetable patch in the demon realm, and if he discovers it, that is great. Since Do-woon tells the story so fondly, Manager Kim is sure the boy really likes and cares for the mandragora. Then the manager remembers something and asks Do-woon if he can try giving some of his own mana to the mandragoras in the patch, because they must be hungry after building fences. Do-woon wonders if it is safe, since these mandragoras are different from the ones humans see, but that makes Manager Kim even more curious. He kneels down, ready to give them his mana. Do-woon is cautious, knows that no matter how skilled an A-grade alchemist Manager Kim is, he needs to be careful. Do-woon learns after having mandragora cells in him that a healthy mandragora can absorb all the mana from anyone who gives it, if not controlled. That is exactly happening now, as the mandragoras have a huge appetite and are used to the massive amount of mana Do-woon gives them, far more than any human can handle. As they drain the mana from Manager Kim, he starts swelling and eventually loses consciousness. Seeing this, Gi-sok runs over, holds his hand and cries, says he cannot let him go like that. Manager Kim, still partially conscious, says he does not die so easily. Gi-sok is shocked that even an A-grade alchemist cannot satisfy the mandragoras. Neri also notices the mandragoras are vomiting, and Do-woon realizes it is a matter of quality over quantity, as mandragoras are picky and not all mana works for them. The scene shifts to a fancy building where many people sit in Gold City's Assemblyman Park's office. They discuss how a research lab is attacked, and money invested in mechanical creatures turns into scrap. Jessica, CEO of Gold Auction, and Violet, the vice CEO of the Red Brick Gang, wonder what Park does. Gibong, chairman of Gold City's Merchant Association, reminds everyone that Hunter Association President Bai Ko has begun an investigation. Suddenly a smug man with a beard, the former Hunter Association chairman Jung Hyuk, laughs about people being scared of him despite losing power. Gibong yells at him, but Jung Hyuk just laughs. Assemblyman Park Woo-jung says not to worry because he will handle it. He reveals a strange man appears in a slum area, and when national affairs get messy, these things must be managed. Park snaps his fingers, shows a projection of a new fund source. A pink dot appears, shows a large mandragora habitat at the snowy mountain's summit. Jessica and Violet are shocked, question how big it is and who can reach the top, since even A-rank hunters avoid the harsh weather there. Park tells everyone they do not need to climb all the way to the mountaintop, and only need hunters to go halfway up. Jung Gyeok becomes nervous, asks what he means, and Park reveals they have a teleporter to help, which is completely new and unusual. In a flashback, Bongsu appears at the Hunter Association, tells the receptionist he wants to check his awakening. It is Bongsu himself, the rare awakened one with teleportation powers. Back in the snowy mountains, hunters say that even with many A-ranks present, the trip feels like a casual school outing. Monsters mostly avoid them, and the hunters wonder where the teleporter kid is. It turns out Bongsu, an F-class who just awakens, is controlled by someone else. Normally, teleportation at his level is impossible. The expedition leader has an amplification ability and plans to boost Bongsu's powers, which can seriously hurt or even kill him. During the briefing, hunters are told Bongsu can be treated like a puppet and forced to obey, because he is a poor street kid and his life does not matter. The leader then instructs Bongsu, who is hypnotized, to use his powers. Even though blood pours from his body, Bongsu keeps teleporting mandragoras from the snowy field to the hunter's location. People laugh, ignore his suffering. Then the hunters run off, leave Bongsu unconscious, try to capture as many mandragoras as possible. One hunter thinks he succeeds, but suddenly the special mandragora, Do-won's pet, orders all the others to attack. The mandragoras jump on the net used to trap them, bite it. Hunters wonder if this large mandragora is the pack's king. It seems like they eat the net, but they actually absorb its mana, slowly dissolve it. A strong physical type hunter attacks, hits the mandragoras above the net, which is dangerous for the king. He wants to destroy it fully but decides not to, because it is valuable. Suddenly a man appears, punches the hunter several meters away. It is Do-won, protects his old friend. The hunters are shocked, do not know who he is. Do-won's eyes glow yellow with chimera energy, scare everyone. The mandragora sees him, immediately becomes emotional and realizes it is reunited with its old friend, feels safe and overjoyed to be back with him. Do-won surrounds himself with a dark, powerful aura, scares away all the hunters who chase the mandragoras. His presence is so strong that the hunters do not know who he is, while the bird siblings wonder why so many hunters are in the mountain, and why so many mandragoras gather there. Yubiom and Jaya are shocked to see the very mandragora Do-won talks about. When Do-won reunites with his old pet, the mandragora begins shivering. Do-won notices the creature still wears the silkworm thread he ties around it, when he is only 15. Back then he is shorter and wears different clothes, but the mandragora remembers him, probably through his mana. The mandragora cries when it sees him and rushes to hug Do-won, acts like a small happy puppy. Do-won looks around and sees many mandragoras nearby, wonders if they are companions of his own. The mandragora jumps off Do-won's lap and spins, shows it is the leader of the pack, even stands on tiptoes to show how much it grows. It expresses itself clearly. Still the same little creature Do-won knows. Do-won lands safely. Happy, Do-won finds the mandragora, and the bird siblings notice it still wears the same thread. Do-won never expects to meet his friend alive again. The birds wonder if Do-won takes the mandragora home, and Do-won does not mind, but the creature already has a place it belongs. Do-won decides it is better not to get too attached. Suddenly the birds ask him what to do about the hunters, who come specifically for the mandragoras. Do-won turns and freezes in horror. Bongsu lies unconscious on the ground. The birds ask who he is, and why a child is in the demon realm. Do-won explains Bongsu once guides him through the slums. Now Bongsu glows with a purple aura. Do-won realizes he might awaken but is in terrible condition. Jaya checks his energy and confirms he is a newly awakened teleportation user, marked by an amplification skill that can kill him in less than 3 days. Do-won's glare shakes the area as he immediately realizes an amplification user controls him, uses him as a puppet. The hunters need mandragoras but do not want to climb the snowy mountain, so they kidnap the boy. One hunter senses Do-won's power and tries to bargain, but Do-won kicks him hard, slams him into the ground. A purple mist surrounds all the hunters, and they know they are finished. Do-won tells everyone that even though they are all A-rank hunters, it is unbelievable that a 17-year-old child has crossed into the demon realm. The hunters watch the boy, think how they can use him, and Do-won knows this feeling well. Since Bongsu is just a slum orphan, the hunters probably plan to use him and discard him afterward, care only about their own gain. Survival of the fittest is the rule, and Duwon understands that. It is not that the hunters do something unforgivable, but Duwon is serious when he says he can do the same to them that they do to Bongsu. For now, he starts by punishing them, beats them as much as he needs to. Meanwhile, all the mandragoras settle into the frozen ground while Duwon and his pet watch over Bongsu, who lies atop a giant rock. Duwon feels sad remembering how Bongsu trains tirelessly to become a hunter, inspired by Duwon's ability to enter the demon realm without gear. The boy wants to grow strong like Duwon, and now seeing him in this state makes Duwon determined to save him. Just then, someone calls out Bongsu's name. It is Manager Kim, shocked and deeply worried to see the child in such a condition. Jaya tries to hold him back, but Nari does not stop. Duwon tells him to check on Bongsu immediately rather than ask questions. As Manager Kim examines the boy, he realizes the damage is far beyond ordinary healing as Bongsu's life force is nearly gone, and even the strongest potions do not help. Duwon thinks deeply about life force and realizes there might be a solution. He quickly draws a magic circle on the thin ice and tells Manager Kim it can solve the problem. Nari recognizes it as an ancient transmutation circle capable of turning mana into life force, but he knows the technique is forbidden, extremely dangerous, and can drain everyone's mana. If it fails, Bongsu might die. Shockingly, Duwon says he wants the manager to extract his mana instead. Everyone disagrees, but Duwon insists, says he does it before and refuses to let Bongsu owe his life to those hunters. He remembers a flashback where scientists once note his nearly limitless mana, use it in a transmutation circle to extend life, which causes a huge disaster. Back then, Duwon stops the experiment himself. Now, despite the risks, he is ready to try again. With determination, Duwon removes his shirt, reveals his muscles, and calmly asks if they are ready to begin. Duwon sits shirtless inside the transmutation circle while Manager Kim prepares to extract his mana using the same circle carved on Duwon's back. Nari cannot stop thinking about how Bongsu is tricked and how Duwon is still willing to help him. Despite everything, he knows the transmutation must succeed. A blue aura spreads around everyone as life force begins to gather. When the process finishes, the life force becomes solid, and Nari realizes he now only needs to transfer it to Bongsu to save him. But as the mana fully forms, all the mandragoras suddenly attack Nari. He is confused, does not understand why they are so aggressive. Duwon smiles, realizes the mandragoras probably think Nari hurts him. Even Duwon's pet mandragora joins in, tries to strike Nari. The manager pleads with them, explains it is a misunderstanding, begs them to stop. Duwon is surprised at how much the creatures care about him but decides it is best to send them back to their home while he stays in a trance. Gaejung orange potion is then given to Bongsu. Slowly, his amplification mark fades and his breathing returns to normal. Relief washes over everyone, and Nari breaks into tears. Knows Bongsu survives thanks to Duwon. Yubiom and Duwon quietly discuss the irony of using harsh experiments from the TDA lab to save a life, realize how strange life is. Nari explains Bongsu needs more medicine and care, and he takes the boy home to recover safely. Yubiom worries about passing through the gate, but Duwon easily forms a teleportation portal. Still, he thinks about how the transmutation circle is banned for its dangers and decides to erase Nari's memories of the event. Nari agrees it is for the best, but is shocked when Duwon says he extracts mana from the hunters too, as punishment for standing by during a crime. Duwon plans to drain them completely and discard their mana. Yubiom smiles, knows it is typical of him, but wonders if their memories are erased. Jia watches as the hunters are slammed to the ground. Duwon says he does not erase their memories this time, believes they should remember their actions to prevent future sins. Then Duwon has an idea. He asks Nari if the hunters can be forced to build a research lab in the snowy mountains of the demon realm. Even at their rank, they survive a few days there, and Nari gets his own exclusive lab. Excited, Nari runs off to the hunters to prepare everything immediately. Duwon thinks having a lab in the demon realm helps Manager Kim work more efficiently, since traveling to the human world is difficult. Seeing everything go smoothly, Duwon smiles, knows the hunters do not accept having their mana taken quietly, so he asks the bird-headed companion to watch them closely, which is easy for the bird. Then Duwon pulls something from his pocket, his pet mandragora, still sleeping peacefully. He knows it is time to take the little creature home. Blue, the giant bird, flies over the snowy mountains, and when they reach the summit, Duwon tells it to wait. He opens a large bag and releases many mandragoras, all happily return to the mountains, while his pet mandragora stays perched on him, clearly excited to be back. Duwon realizes that just like the mandragoras, everyone has a place where they belong. Gently he sets the pet mandragora on the ground, knows he cannot take it away, now that it grows into a leader. The mandragora seems confused and unhappy, refuses to accept his departure. Even after Duwon explains it is not a forever goodbye and they can visit often. The pet runs off a short distance, then turns back and gestures for him to follow. Duwon follows and soon recognizes the place, the same cave from when he is 15, surprisingly clean. The mandragora leads him to the cracked rock where it used to grow fruit, and Dowoon wonders if it finds the place on its own. Soon, many mandragoras arrive, worry about their leader, including an elderly one who looks anxious. The monarch mandragora then removes the silkworm thread Dowoon ties around it, and gives it to the elderly mandragora, transfers its leadership. The other mandragoras murmur in surprise, but soon accept him, celebrate their new leader. Dowoon realizes his pet gives up its position willingly for him, cries but is happy to sacrifice for Dowoon. That night, snow falls softly as they rest in the cave like old times, reminds Dowoon that everyone must choose where they belong. The next day, Bongsu slowly opens his eyes on the giant rock, confused. The first thing he sees are two bird-like creatures staring at him, makes him panic and grab his jacket. The bird siblings are surprised by his quick recovery. Jai calmly asks if his name is Bongsu, and welcomes him to the demon realm, but to Bongsu, this sounds threatening, and he wonders why he is there at all. Joe notices that Bongsu looks terrified, almost like he sees a ghost, and wonders if it is because of them. Yubing realizes it is likely Bongsu's first time in the demon realm, and he is just overwhelmed after nearly dying and coming back. Bongsu's mind flashes back to when the receptionist tells him he is awakened, and he feels so happy thinking Mr. Park was right. He hurries back to tell her but is stopped by a suspicious man who somehow knows he is awakened. The man, a puppet user, offers him a cold drink, congratulates him on becoming a hunter in training, and says it helps his mana hole. Bongsu catches the can happily, thinks the man is kind, but as soon as he drinks it, his vision blurs, and now he feels furious at being tricked. Crying, he feels he lets down everyone who believes in him. Meanwhile, Blue, the giant bird, flies over the snowy mountains carrying Dowoon, with the pet mandragora sleeping safely inside his shirt. Dowoon looks down and sees hunters already build a laboratory. He lands easily, surprises Ubiom, who wonders if the hunter's mana extraction is finished. Dowoon already puts them to work after extracting their mana. Some gather materials while others build the foundation and frame. The hunters are surprisingly cooperative, though Ubiom admits it is thanks to Jia frightening them badly. The top hunters question if they should resist, but others know they have no choice with two disaster-class monsters nearby. The amplification user thinks combining their strength helps, but before he finishes, Jia smashes her heels into his head and demands they choose let their mana be extracted quietly or die. Terrified, the hunters agree. Back in the present, Jia yells again, urges them to finish the lab by tomorrow, and the hunters apologize repeatedly. Dowoon feels impressed by Jia's intensity, but Ubeom feels confident the lab finishes soon and tells Dowoon to leave the work to them. Dowoon trusts Ubeom's skills and stays carefree. Manager Kim then approaches, reports that he disposes of all the extracted mana from the hunters as instructed. Dowoon feels satisfied and asks about Bongsu's condition. Manager Kim says Bongsu wakes some time ago and recovers quickly, but still looks shocked. He asks Dowoon if he wants to see him, which surprises Dowoon. The scene then shifts to Dowoon standing behind Bongsu, gently asking if he is awake. Bongsu feels startled to see Dowoon in the demon realm. Dowoon immediately notices changes in Bongsu. His bangs turn white, probably because he comes back from near death, and his mana hole grows larger, likely because Dowoon's mana mixes with his. Dowoon decides to check that later, and instead asks why Bongsu looks so sad. Even after being saved, Bongsu seems emotionally drained. He explains that he feels useless. A kind lady trusts him and even gives him bus fare, yet he is tricked by the first person he meets. Bongsu cries, feels like a failure, and feels unsure how to continue. Seeing this, Dowoon becomes serious. He calls Bongsu over and asks him to come for a moment. The scene then shifts to the hunters. Dowoon grabs the man with hypnosis ability, slaps him, and throws him several meters away. He asks Bongsu if this is the one who hurts him, and explains that the man lies and uses a puppet spell. Dowoon says Bongsu can kill him if he wants, but Bongsu shakes his head, refuses. He says he survives while the man loses his powers, and people like him always exist. Bongsu declares he grows stronger so no one else falls victim to such scum. Dowoon smiles, feels proud of him and tells the puppet user to leave, because Bongsu spares him. Then Dowoon tells Bongsu to start mana training under Manager Kim. Nari places a hand on Bongsu's shoulder, says he comes from the slums too and helps him fully. The bird siblings also reassure Bongsu that nothing is wrong with coming from the slums. Bongsu turns and cries, feels grateful for their support. Dowoon quietly smiles, realizes that with proper guidance Bongsu can even surpass Gisok. At that moment the pet mandragora peeks from Dowoon's pocket. The bird siblings feel surprised, and Dowoon explains that the monarch mandragora passes his title to a new king, and he brings this mandragora along, ties a new thread of companionship. Jia feels shocked that a monster willingly gives up its position. Dowoon says he visits the forest to show his new friend their home, and asks them to greet Nari and the others. He then rides Blue with the mandragora and leaves. Bongsu stands in disbelief, feels amazed at how Dowoon appears, helps him and saves his life. Ubeom tells him that Dowoon is fearless because he once has nothing and has used all his life, and now he just wants to live peacefully in the demon realm. Meanwhile, Nari and the other chimeras, along with Jisok, face a problem. Suddenly Jisok looks shocked as Nari runs to him, asks why he is so late, and explains that both Ku and Sasa go missing. One illegal facility actually succeeded with item number 17. And yes, it is different from 11, but the comparison is still sitting right there. He fought, survived, and delivered results, until fate casually informed him that he had 1 month left to live. And since movies have taught us anything, lab experiments never end peacefully. This one was no exception. The infamous savior number 17 returned to the world, this time in human form. And if anyone thought that fixed things, they were very wrong. This is where the story begins.